ご紹介します。
Are in the background.
高野三佐です。三佐、こちらは入江京介先生です。
どうも、入江と申します。
Irie seemed extremely nervous at our first meeting. He probably thought I was in charge of some suspicious organization.
萎縮しなくて結構ですわ。高野とお呼びください。
恐縮です。この度はお引き立ていただき深く感謝いたします。
どうぞおかけになってください。
Model lower middle class citizen is a good way to describe Kyosuke Irie's demeanor. One could also say he was the stereotypical type of person to get conveniently discarded after those crafty. I say first, quickly redeem it, Z! Redeem it! After those crafty elders used their seniority to constantly pick on him. He certainly doesn't seem as cunning as I am, but that doesn't mean he isn't ambitious. Like me, he's a young person who of accomplishing something great, leaving his name upon generations to come. Let's go! Nice! How's your extra classes today, Z? While he acts humble in person like this, his articles were actually progressive as well as aggressive. The gap between the two was quite intense.
平見沢症候群の資料を読ませていただきました。
いかがでしたか？
非常に驚くことばかりでした。確かに今日の医学の暗部に踏み込みかねない内容ではあります。
Why are you cursing Dianea?
誰も解明していない神秘という点で、
What did she do?
興奮を抑えきれません。
Hearing that made me chuckle. Irie is more than interested in Hinomizawa syndrome, which is good enough for me. You've been through the ringer, with far too many people to reach this day. So her honed intuition could tell. She would get along well with this man. Even if he isn't useful to me, he won't cause any problems. Both me and my sponsor, he's the best person possible for the job.
私こそ驚いております。入江先生ほどの博識かつ経験豊富な方が責任ある地位も仕事も与えられず、医局の片隅で飼い殺されているなど、これは医学界の重大な損失と言わざるを得ませんわ。
But she always does a redeem. Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, you're able to do it this time. You're able to do it this time, Z. And you know what? You can laugh in her face when she arrives. Yudia laughed. He probably thought I didn't know, but I'd received detailed documents on him. So I knew why he was exiled from the limelight despite his rare talent and achievements. He displayed extraordinary skill working under a neurosurgery expert, and everyone expected a bright future from him. But he was kicked out due to an ethical controversy. Idea's pet theory was that the antisocial behavior individuals could be explained by brain disorders. He believed that no one in this world was born a villain, and that they were all just poor patients in need of treatment. He proposed that they were all proper and normal when born, yet as they matured, psychogenesis and various exogenous factors caused brain disorders that made them into villains. I'm doing good. Currently eating chocolate waffles because I have nothing better to eat. I mean, do they taste good? That's the main thing. Therefore, what those evil people need isn't punishment, it is treatment. And if their diseases are treated, they will become good citizens again. That manner of thinking actually fell in line with the Confucian belief of innate human goodness. According to this theory, humans are born with the capacity for altruism towards their kind. It is only afterwards that they learn and acquire cruelty. Irie believed that acquisition was a result of brain disorders. It tasted something. Well, was that something better or worse than nothing? The human brain creates human thoughts. Therefore, if one becomes emotionally ill, that means their brain is ill. So if their brain gets treatment, they will recover emotionally, too. That field was called psychosurgery. It's fallen out of practice in the current Heisei era, but the surgical techniques were applauded until mid-Showa. Especially since it produced spectacular results on a chronic mental patient that was said to be incurable. The man who invented it even won a Nobel Prize. That was how revolutionary it was. It's like in the middle. So it tastes like nothing? Humans think. That's why they become ill. Everyone knows that's why those who overthink matters are prone to mental illness. When the organs that think and debate grow ill, humans deviate from social behavior. That part is called the frontal lobe. It's simply psychosurgery is surgery performed to operate on the frontal lobe. This kind of surgery doesn't require moving the whole epicranium. It tastes shit, but if it keeps me full, I'll eat it. Are they like frozen chocolate waffles or something? Is that that's the only thing I could think of? Like those Eggo waffles? Maybe you have a different brand where you are? A small hole is drilled through the cranium and a special scalpel is inserted down to cut it. Oh, so he performed a lobotomy or something? Not a major surgery, just a technique for quickly operating on the precious frontal lobe. Indeed, it was revolutionary in its simplicity. Maybe, I don't know. Let me see. Is it like this? This thing? Or is it something else? All the severely ill mental patients miraculously recovered, so the technique spread around the world quickly. Oh yeah, okay, there you go. Those with obstinate and chronic mental illnesses. Yeah, they do kind of... I definitely agree with you in terms of the taste. I've had them once. They're definitely not like... I agree they're in between tasting like something and tasting like nothing. It's like, it's kind of bad, but it's like, whatever. The severely ill, trapped in deep, inescapable depression. All of those could be saved by this technique. Throughout history, humans have come up with many different religions and magic tricks to heal emotional injuries. So needless to say, the idea of being able to treat them with a surgical technique was truly revolutionary. Ide admired psychosurgery and pushed forward in the field of surgical techniques to treat human souls. What subject was your extra class on today, Z? However, from the modern human rights standpoint, severing a portion of the brain simply because someone is emotionally disturbed is absolutely out of the question. People gradually started to think differently and said that psychosurgery was inhumane. The frontal lobe controls how people think, but is also part that makes humans act. There are quite a few cases where that cut caused drastic, irreversible changes in the patient. Yeah, he literally was performing lobotomies on them. A baseless happiness born from the lack of thought. It's not exactly what a lobotomy is, but like, I'm pretty sure it's the same idea. A change in personality. A loss of interest in everything. Major mood swings due to lack of control over one's emotions. Some even lost part of their memories. Of course, some didn't even survive the surgery. By the mid-1960s, use of psychosurgery declined. Also, due to developmental psychotropic medicine, the surgery was hardly performed anymore anyway. Yet some people still believed in the idea, and continued to perform the surgery and gather clinical data. My school canteen closed. It's sad because I could have bought some rice and fried chicken. Oh, that sucks. Yeah, it would have been so much better than eating your chocolate waffles. What? Did it close earlier than usual, or is that's just the normal time it closes? You just weren't able to make it in time? They wanted people to recognize the value of the technique once again. Yay, more... Well, this is not politics. This is, Irie, I guess. I guess it's kind of politics. It's like medicine ethics and talking about the ethics of a lobotomy, which is not ethical at all, but Irie really wants to perform a lobotomy. But yeah. Some of these surgeries were performed without consent. One theory is that in Japan alone, there were thousands of people who woke up from general anesthesia, only to find part of their brain had been removed. Today, to perform such a surgery without a patient's consent is considered totally unethical, but it was different at that time. Yeah, Z has a grudge against you, Dianea. For one thing, the idea that doctors required prior patient consent was proliferated in the modern Heisei era. Therefore, people at the time didn't think it was that big of an issue. It was only later that people started to argue that it was inhumane. Finally, a decision was reached, and the curtain closed with the rejection of psychosurgery. Later, the Japanese Society of Psychology and Neurology passed their resolution to end psychosurgery. After that, psychosurgery was banned throughout Japan and made a forbidden subject of Japanese medicine. Water. Be right back. Okay, we'll tell her. It's because, yeah, Z was able to claim first. It's because Z was able to claim first. That's why. Because always, Z was saying that sometimes he arrives first and then you still get the first claim. So this time, hello Ruben, by the way. So this time, Z arrived first and claimed it. That was the idea. He continued to advocate in its effectiveness and results. Therefore, he was treated as a war criminal who practiced inhumane medicine, and he was exiled from the public eye. Oh, wait, yeah, you gotta do that. You gotta make sure to clarify that, Diane, of course, every time. However, that doesn't mean he changed his beliefs. He still believes that immoral behavior is caused by brain disorders, and the secret of treating them is, in fact, hidden in the brain. How are you doing, Ruben? With the existence of Hinamizawa syndrome. Also, how are you doing, Dianea? Caused by parasites living in the brain that control human emotions, actually affirm his theory. What was the narration talking about? Talking about Irie. This is Takano right now, scouting Irie out. And this is like, from what Irie doesn't know that Takano knows his backstory. So, like, that's basically what's happening. Oh, I didn't mean to do that.
この度の話、ぜひ引き受けさせていただきたいと思います。
Of course. Given Irie's history, he would never turn down this offer. Despite his mild-mannered appearance, Irie was possessed by an almighty ambition. There's no way he didn't desire a chance to complete research that would prove himself to the medical society that ostracized him. And handing him that chance on a silver platter.
ありがとうございます。入江先生ならば、きっと良いお返事をいただけると信じておりました。
Apology accepted. Did it say Irie is a war criminal? No, he's not a war criminal. He's just not an ethical person, at least viewed by everyone else, because he performs lobotomies basically, and he thinks it's a good idea, whereas everyone has come to the idea that it's not very good. Like, obviously he's not performing exactly a lobotomy because it's a different procedure, but he's essentially performing a lobotomy, and he believes that to be a good thing, affecting the brain. Yeah.
当方もあなたのような専門家を迎えられ、とても助かります。
しかし、私などが所長でいいのでしょうか。それは高野さんがやられた方がよろしいでしょう。私は単なる医者に過ぎません。人の上に立ったことなど。
ご安心ください。それにつきましては、私も全面的にサポートいたします。トップは制服ではなく背広からというのが上の希望でもあります。
It's a formation of the Avengers. Yeah, basically. The only last person is Tomitake.
いえ、いや、しかし。
Takano Irie Tomitake. Wow, what an abbreviation? Is that the correct word for that? Close enough, if anything. Irie laughed to hide his embarrassment. Diana, did you finish? Did you do the after party for 7? You have to add in like one more emote, Ruben, to like finish it off. Because it's like for each emote references a letter or something.
表向きは診療所ということになっています。入江先生にご快諾をいただけましたので、入江診療所という名前にいたしましょう。
一国一城の主とは。
That works.
もったいない話です。
あと、身分を陸自で預かることになりますので、先生の席は陸自の医官という扱いになります。私の上司ですので、2差の階級になりますので。
Wait, I don't understand. That is Tomitake. Makes sense. Makes sense. I like that. I like that emote. I feel like it represents him pretty well. Since you'll be my superior? Wait, so I don't understand. How is Irie Takano's superior, yet Takano's the one that controls the mountain dogs. I don't get that.
入江二佐という呼び名はいかがでしょう。
私は軍人じゃありません。ニサという呼び名は遠慮させていただきたいものです。所長だって恐れ多いくらいです。いやいや。
He's getting a chance to research brain parasites, plus being given the title of a director of a new clinic as camouflage. I think it's in name title only. Okay. Plus it comes with staff and funding. You'll even have support from the Defense Agency and the Ministry of Health and Welfare, as well as a research lab with the state-of-the-art equipment. No wonder he's laughing so excitedly. However, there are some risks too. I ate the last waffle, worst waffle in my life. I wish this ego doesn't make me sicko. Yeah, frozen waffles are not the best. I've had them once. I definitely don't think I wish to have them again. Although he's gonna go to an area plagued by a mysterious and bizarre disease, there's no guarantee he won't contract it by himself. The sex is a woman can't be the director. Maybe. That is kind of what it seems like. I don't know why they couldn't have her be the director. I still don't understand the exact reason why. But he is too young to even think about those things. Aware of all the risks, he quickly signed a contract with the ambition to have people recognize his talent once again. When I saw him sign the contract, I finally relaxed. I knew he would agree to join us, but at the same time, I was afraid of the chance that he'd refuse. Selecting a director proved more difficult than expected. The only candidate Takano paired well with was Irie. So if Irie refused to take the position, then frankly, she'd be placed in an even worse situation. Now that Irie had agreed to take the position, research on Hinamizawa syndrome can finally begin. The research center, or rather the clinic, will be completed next spring. The Ministry of Health and Welfare and the Defense Agency will send the best equipment and staff, plus an abundant supply of funds. So this has been going on for a long time then, because this clinic was there since before, like Chapter 4, right? Which is 5 years ago compared to when normal Higurashi takes place. So how many years ago is this? Like, is this before, like, Mion was born? Then finally, our research will begin in earnest. Everything is going well. Of course it is. I put so much effort into making sure things went smoothly up until this point. Now I'm thirsty. What are you gonna drink now then, Z? What do you have available to you?
就任おめでとうございます。さあ、宣誓書へのサインを終わりました。
ありがとう。これからよろしくお願いいたしますわ、入江所長。
こちらこそよろしくお願いします。高野さん、仲良くやりましょう。私も全身全霊をかけて頑張ります。
こちらこそ。お互い最善を尽くしましょう。
Now the position of director has been filled. Everything is set. How many waffles did you have, Z? Or was it just one? Oh no, the last one was the worst one you had in your life. Water straight out of the fountain. That's good.
それはよかったよかった。おめでとう、高野さん。高野三佐でしたかな？
これもすべて先生方のお力添えがあったからこそです。高野美代、皆様に心より感謝させていただきます。
I don't know. It's a great question. R of can. It's water. Is it good or not? No, I was saying, I guess I can't remember. Water is good, but I was meaning to say, how good is the water from the fountain? You know, like, being fresh from the fountain has to be good. That's like what I meant. Decent. Okay. It's crazy to think they've been under our noses this whole time. Who exactly? Like the overall. Look, my points are 665. Maybe like you just never let it leave 666Z. You just like leave stream forever, and then it just stays there forever at that amount of points. Tokyo? Well, I mean, we didn't even know about this like organization until like chapter 7.
おっしゃる通りです。
I should have not ate that ego, but yet you have, and now you must deal with the
寝る間を惜
consequences.
しんで研究に身を投じていく覚悟です。
高野先生が成し遂げられなかったさらにその先へ至られることを私ども一度楽しみにいたしておりますぞ。
まあまあ先生、今日はそういう堅苦しい話は抜き
I
にしま
swear
し
it's
ょう。
always a gamble. The waffle? Have you had them before and they were better?
今日は高野さんのこれからと入江機関の設立を祝って乾杯と参りましょう。
乾杯の前にご挨拶申し上げます。厚生省の永田と申します。どうぞよろしくお願いいたします。
ああ、高野さん、彼のところの研究所は医療機関のバックアップをしてくれます。技術的に困ったことがあったらいつでも頼ってやってく
Nagata,
だ
I
さ
would
い。
like to say a few things. Okay.
こき使うだなんてそんな。こちらこそお世話になります。高野と申します。どうかよろしくお願いします。
高野さん、こちらも紹介しましょう。
Okay, so
陸自から
Takano's
出
really
向
just
の
getting
富
introduced to
武君と
everyone.
お好み君です。
Oh, Tomitake and Okonogi get introduced
陸
at the
自側
same
からの
time.
バックアップをします。ぜひご挨拶させてください。
はじめまして、富武と申します。この度のプロジェクトの監査役を仰せつかりました。どうかよろしくお願いいたします。
The funding for our research is largely coming from the SDF. It's only natural for the SDF to assign a watchdog to make sure reasonable research is taking place. However, someone in a position like that should be my opponent. Why was someone like that in that position invited to this private party? Does that mean this auditor's on my side too? Being that thorough groundwork, I couldn't help but feel the strength of having a sponsor all over again.
私は直接はひなみ沢に赴きませんが、定期的にお伺いして研究の進捗管理などをさせていただくことになります。
あら、それは残念ですわね。ひなみ沢は空気も良くて自然も素晴らしいところですのよ。ぜひ仕事以外でも気軽に遊びにいらしてくださいね。
ありがとうございます。そうさせていただきます。
If he really is an auditor, I should maintain a good relationship with this man. He'll hold the key to all future adjustments of our funding, so as long as we continue drawing it from the SDF.
おこのぎと申します。
Dude, Okonogi looks so evil.
よろしくお願いいた
Always.
します。
彼は不正規船部隊の一つ、山犬の隊長です。ひなみ沢に常駐し、三佐を直接サポートします。
ボディーガードみたいなものと思っていいのかしら。
要人護衛、機密保持が主な任務です。三佐の直接の手足となりますので、どうかこき使ってやってください。
よろしくお願いします。
Okay, but listen. Where does Takano learn, like during all this, learn how to man a sniper? Like, where does she learn how to use a sniper during all this? His main job is to preserve secrets, but I bet he's also good with espionage tactics, like counterintelligence and information control. Yes, that would explain his demeanor. Since the SDF is funding our research on Hinamizawa syndrome, of course this is considered a military operation. Therefore, this research has to be done in secret. That's why a unit like this is necessary. Besides, it's very reassuring to have someone capable of combat working under me. I should maintain a good relationship with him too.
さあさあさあ、
Did she use a sniper in the last chapter? Yeah. That's why everything started to crumble in the first place. They were fighting back against the mountain dogs, and then Takano, like, used a sniper and, like, shot Keiichi. And then Keiichi fell, and then that's how they all got captured. And then she went over and killed them one by one.
挨拶はこれくらいにして早く乾杯に移りましょう。さあさあ、富武君も足を崩して。今日は入江機関の前途を祝してブレイコーで参りましょう。
While this is supposed to celebrate the establishment of the Irie Institute, Irie himself isn't here. But that is his job after all. Irie is simply a puppet to fill a seat. Of course, I expect him to help me a little with his expertise, but he's ultimately an outsider. This was supposed to be a gathering where I would show my appreciation to those who helped me establish the Irie Institute. But it has turned into them thanking me for all my efforts. I'm always the one to pour alcohol for others, but today people are pouring alcohol in my glass. The new participants were trying to make me happy, and all the top people talked to me casually. They all praised my hard work and my efforts. My research is now recognized by many institutions, and I'm ready to spread my wings open wide. And all the people who are expecting some returns once the research accomplishes something are trying to curry favor with me. But right now, I'm just very grateful, regardless of their motives.
それでは入江機関の設立と高野美代君の今後ますますの発展を祈願して 乾杯に移りたいと思います。先生、温度をお願いいたします。
It's like a dream. I know. This is just the beginning, and I shouldn't be satisfied with this alone. But just for today, I can forget about everything else and enjoy this celebration. I'm not a heavy drinker, but the drinks taste good tonight, and the more I drink, the happier I get. This is really wonderful. To be called Major by Tomitake and the others is wonderful too. That's the rank my grandfather had during the war. That means I finally caught up with my grandfather. This is only the beginning. From here on, I intend to reach what my grandfather couldn't. This is the best night of my life. I ended up leaving to fix my makeup. I'm filled with elation. I need to feel fresh air to calm myself down. My heart is about to explode because I'm so happy. The gathering is taking place a little distance away from the main building. The restroom is in the main building, so I need to walk across the hallway. A beautiful and well-maintained Japanese garden is visible from the hallway. It's raining. I usually don't like rain, but I don't mind it at all today. I feel like even the raindrops are congratulating me. The cool air feels pleasant on my hot skin. It took me a moment to notice how unsteady my footsteps had become. Maybe I drank a little too much. It doesn't like me to drink more than I can handle. Although this is a party, I don't want to embarrass myself, so I decided to cool off a little by looking at the beautiful Japanese garden. I found an elegant chair on a red carpet nearby and sat down on it. Since I was with the associates until now, I was forced to constantly be on guard against embarrassing myself. And now that I was alone, I could let go and truly relax. When I look up to the sky, I realize it's still raining hard, but in the distance the horizon is a little lighter. Maybe it won't be raining for much longer. Well, that's normal. Rain stops eventually. No matter how cold it is or how hard it's raining. Rain stops eventually. I saw a pair of sandals and an umbrella, almost inviting me. I took them into the garden. The tasteless laughter coming from the party sounds far away. I took the umbrella and looked up into the sky. I felt the raindrops hit my face. Gazed up at the sky for a while, forgetting about all my hair getting wet. I thought the rain would cool down my boiling heart, but as my body got cold, I started to feel miserable. My bare feet were all swollen, and the throbbing pain I felt made them seem twice their normal size. I know exactly how that feels. The gravel road continued forever. I didn't even know what direction I was headed in anymore. I could no longer hear my pursuer. Oh, wait, we're back? Here. Okay. I probably lost him by running through the woods like mad. My body was covered in scratches. I finally started to feel the pain from that. I felt both cold and hungry. There was no place nearby to take shelter from the rain. I was just on a little path in the woods. My worst fear was that I could end up heading back towards the orphanage. After bolting and losing my sense of direction, I'd crushed that man's finger. I didn't think I bit it off, but I was sure that it would leave a scar. Taking that into consideration, it was very clear to me what kind of torture awaited me back at the orphanage. Therefore, I'd have to reach the House of Love and Mercy. If only it had been daytime, then I could easily have found the right way to go. However, with this rain, there was nothing I could do. But I couldn't stop. I had to keep walking until I reached something. I wondered if Eriko and the others had escaped safely. I didn't know how many people came after us, but at least one came after me. In other words, it meant that they had a better chance. Did they reach the House of Love and Mercy? Were they drying themselves with soft towels? And if they remembered me, would they save a towel for me too? I felt so cold. I wanted to find shelter. I wonder why as well. I guess we'll see later on. I wanted to find shelter and sit down. There's nothing of the sort. So, or maybe, I guess, I don't know. I saw a tree that looked like I could take shelter under it, but the branches and leaves were dripping with water. It was then that I realized that the sky was gradually getting darker. Would this day end in rain? There were no streetlights where I was. Soon enough, it would totally be dark, and I wouldn't be able to walk any further. I just wanted to sit down, even if it was raining. If I did sit down, I probably wouldn't be able to stand up again. So I endured. If I hadn't escaped with Eriko and the others, I wouldn't have gone through such misery. But compared to what I had to go through at the orphanage, this was nothing. Thinking about that was the only way to make myself move. When I thought about that, it's true that this freezing cold rain was far better than my life at the orphanage. But that was only when compared to the life at the orphanage. Was it better than the normal lives of normal kids my age? I didn't even need to think about that. When my parents were alive, although we weren't rich, we led a normal life. The gentle smiles and forgivable selfishness. The sounds of my mother cooking breakfast in the morning. The sound of a newspaper being folded. Precious memories like that. I didn't need anything else. I had plenty of friends. I had fun at school. I didn't like my teacher, but I liked studying. I had everything I needed. That was enough for me. I never complained. I never did anything bad. But why was this happening to me? Everything went downhill after that train incident. Accident. The die of fate kept rolling a 1. Oh, you're having this 1 of die of fate thing as well. Die never showed its good side to me. If the accident was my fault, then I could have accepted it. But it wasn't. I wasn't even there. I waited for my parents at home. I like going to the mall with them. We always had a meal at the restaurant in the mall. I always told them to let me know if they were going to the mall. But on that day, they went without me while I went to my friend's house. Oh, so that's why. Okay, she went to her friend's house to play. That makes sense. My friend wasn't in, so I went back home. Wait. Okay. I feel like you, as a parent, though, you don't, like, leave them and then it's like, oh, I'm going to the house to play, and then it's like you just leave her. I mean, maybe it's different culture. Maybe that is normal in Japan. I don't know. Didn't see anyone at home and found a note saying that they were going to the mall. Takano was passed as the only one exploring the present, while Child Takano was a protagonist. When it came to Ren, Shion, or the others, we also always saw their past through flashback, narrating what happened. I guess because now we're just exploring like, right now, everything is in the past. So, it's like, it would be weird to show things as like a constant flashback, because like see her entire life, because we'd have to go through entire like sections. Like we'd go through the childhood as a flashback, and then her like recruiting Ida and whatever as a flashback, and her in conversation with the like whatever dude as a flashback. It would probably be too much as a flashback, whereas before with like the other guys, it's like we saw all their backstories as fragments that take part in the present. So for example, when we were as Rena, right? When we were Rena, we saw Rena's flashback. When we were Shion, we saw Shion's flashback. But like things are still occurring in the present. But even still in chapter 5, we saw Shion in the present with person, what's his name? Satoshi, right? And then 1 year later, that's also was the present. So I think it has different areas. Where it's like not only flashback through previous storytelling moments. I regretted going to my friend's house. Waited at home. They didn't come home. They were still gone by dinner time. I was getting hungry and got angry with my parents for leaving me. I thought they were having dinner at the mall restaurant without me. If I hadn't gone to my friend's house, I would be eating dinner at the restaurant too. I loved the little flags that came with the kids' meals. I was collecting those flags. Yeah, I was. I was trying to collect 20 of them, thinking that once I collected 20, something wonderful would happen. But I couldn't collect 20 of them. I only needed 1. If I had 1 more, then maybe the accident wouldn't have happened. Very sad memory of a flag from a kid's meal. I kept waiting for my parents to come home from the mall. I was hungry, so I started to eat some dried fish. If I ate too much, my mother would find out, so I was careful not to gorge myself. Then the phone rang. I assumed it was from my parents. I answered the phone in an angry manner. It wasn't them at all. What happened to the house? We had rented it, so maybe someone else had already moved in. What happened to my room? What about my desk and all the flags that were in the right middle drawer? It wasn't my house anymore. Then where was I supposed to go? And if it remained, my parents wouldn't be there to welcome me or protect me. If I didn't have my parents protect me, the whole world became so cruel. Could anyone take me away from the house that I was used to living in just because my parents were gone? Why didn't they just leave me alone? They asked me many things. They tried to confirm many things. But how could I have understood any of the forms they gave me? I was asked a yes or no question, but I had no choice to answer yes. Before I knew it, I ended up at the orphanage. It was beyond heartless. I didn't do anything wrong. was just a little girl. I had to sign so many papers, but why this? Warm and gentle world ended suddenly without an advance notice. Now it's thrown into a cruel, merciless world. Boom. Okay, like nuke goes off again. Why do we have to jump scare with me with that? It's the real world. Do I have any allies at all? Just because my parents died and I didn't have any relatives, I've become so sad. When is the die gonna come up with a 6 instead of a 1 to make up for the continuous series of the ladder? Going down my cheek. Salty taste further saddened and irritated me. Could do anything but cry. But no matter how hard I cried or pitied myself, cold rain wouldn't warm my body or save me. I didn't even know where I was or which direction I should go. Eriko showed me the map to the House of Love and Mercy where we were planning our escape, but we only learned the shortest route. I was completely lost. Strangely, after I finished crying, I felt a groundless strength in myself. I once learned that tears wash away particles in the eye. There's a different purpose to it. Tears also wash away the heart. Clenched my fists, forced my feet to move. Headed in the direction that I believed to be the correct, the gravel road. The rain was still pouring. It was getting darker and darker. I roared to the sky amidst the rain. My sadness was turning into anger. I know this is meant to be like a serious scene, but I can't just... Why does her head look too big for her body? As I looked up, I felt the raindrops hit my face. There is no God. I knew that in my heart. But such disbelief wouldn't save me. If I believed he was there, I should have been saved. No, I needed him to be there. Was he gonna answer me? I heard thunder. He was there. He was there and he was listening to me. In his eyes, everyone was supposed to be equal, and he was listening to me. I heard thunder again. He was listening. I continued. I heard thunder again. It was loud enough to make me shiver. Normally I would just hide in the house and wait until the thunder went away. But on that day, I wasn't afraid. Why should they zoom in so close? The heavens replied to my provocation. The heavens took aim at me, a lowly human who dared sling Constant, insolent insults at them. That was my wish. I opened my arms. He's God, so he wouldn't miss me. However, I guess even God makes mistakes sometimes. Although he's supposed to be fair, he's been unfair with me. Why are they zooming in like this? I actually can't take this seriously. Why are they zooming in like this? I agree, Ruben. I think there's parts of everyone's backstory. A flash from heaven. I thought I smelled something burning just before it hit. She had a good dentist appointment. I guess so, yeah. The sheer force knocked me to the ground. It was a strange experience. It was something that had just happened, but it already felt like it had happened many years ago. I had no idea how long I was down for. I smelled something odd. The bad stench woke me up. When I looked, I saw that a huge tree fell behind me. It had been split open. Its leaves were smoldering. I looked up and saw sparks in the darkness. I couldn't understand what just happened. Just stood there. The thunderbolt struck. It didn't strike me, it struck the tree behind me. Didn't get to die. He was telling me to keep walking in the woods, in the cold rain. I won my bet with God. I bet my life. I bet my life against the lightning and thunder. It could have killed me instantly. But he missed, so he had to fix my life. I looked up the sky, laughing and bragging that I was still alive. I heard thunder again. It was acknowledging its loss. Come on, God. Save me. I won the bet, so save me from this misery. I stood there. I waited for God to do something while the rain poured down on me. He didn't answer me again. I couldn't hear the thunder anymore. Again, I felt the warm tears pour down my cheeks. What was I thinking? If there was a God in heaven, he wouldn't have had anything like this happen to me. My miserable life was the proof of God's non-existence. The darkness was about to swallow me utterly. Would I have to sleep out there? God must have wanted me to die slowly in the cold rain instead of granting me an instant death by lightning. I wish the sun would go away. I wish the sun would never rise. I wish that as the woods had grown completely dark, my existence would be hidden by that darkness. I wish that I could just disappear. Had it been an eternity, was it a matter of seconds? I couldn't even tell time in such darkness. It was then that I saw something. It was light. I noticed it only because the words were so dark. But, you there? Had I been there this whole time? I felt like the light was inviting me towards it. Instant death? No way! What's his name? Yogiri? Is he gonna appear? It was a fluorescent light. I didn't normally like fluorescent lights because I always thought they looked cold. I didn't feel coldness from that white light. I made myself believe that the light was a guide sent by God. I had to believe, otherwise I wouldn't be saved. The light reflected in a puddle. It wasn't a muddy puddle. It was a puddle on asphalt. I had made it out of the woods and was on a paved road. Light was a street light. Being on a paved road didn't really resolve anything. Just a country road. It was a road that went through the woods, so there were no houses, no shops, and not even a single car going by. He's getting back. There weren't too many streetlights on the road, so it was still very dark. My feet touched the asphalt. It felt so different from the gravel I'd been walking on earlier. It felt almost merciful. My feet had grown used to walking on gravel. But after feeling the softness of asphalt, I never wanted to go back to the former again. How do you think Subaru would do the solving problem of Higurashi if he replaced Rika? Well, what do you think he would do? Because you know Subaru better than I do. I only watched the first season like 10 years ago. So, yeah. I was grateful to God for leading me to this asphalt road, but I wish that he had given me a little more guidance. Such a bit of luck couldn't make up for all the unhappiness I'd gone through. That was when I sensed his guidance. I saw another light in the distance. It was only on the right side. I headed towards it. When I got there, I understood what it was. I was amazed to find it there. Telephone booth. Who would actually make a call in the middle of nowhere? Telephone booth in the countryside was rather unusual. There are plenty of red public phones all over, but I'd always thought telephone booths only existed in big cities. Okay, I'll turn it around then. How would Rika do it in ReZero? Well, Rika would probably be listening to Hanyu. And Hanyu would be saying like, oh, don't bother, Rika. It's not gonna matter. Nothing you do changes anything. Blah, 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 blah. And then eventually, after some time, Rika will give up as well. Until like one of her friends like bails her out of it. That's probably what I think would happen. Almost look. And then, only when she sees hope, that's when she finally ignores Hanyu. Basically what I'm saying is, Rika has the willpower, but it's Hanyu putting her down over and over again that would make her not have the willpower. When I felt bad for the lonely telephone booth. It reminded me of myself. Even if I went inside the telephone booth, what could I even do in there anyway? I already knew the answer to that question, but no matter what, I just get in there. The door squeaked as I opened it. There were lots of moths and other bugs fluttering around the light. I usually hated bugs, but in that moment I felt like they were my friends, sheltering from the rain like me. There was no heater. It was still very warm inside of the booth. It sheltered me from the cold rain. Soon enough I crumbled to the floor. The warmth of the fluorescent light embraced me gently. It felt like it was telling me that it was okay to cry. But I had no more tears left. I could cry them all when the lightning struck. Aching scratches covered my body. My calves were in pain too. Everything hurt everywhere. I didn't want to get up ever again. I wished I could fall asleep. But if I did that, the staff from the orphanage might find me. Windows on the booth were high up, so if I sat down, I wouldn't be visible from the outside. But as it was the only shelter in these dark woods, staff would be sure to check it. That's why I couldn't stay there for long. Telephone booths are back and we're completely made of glass, so it's possible to hand title. My exhausted spirit understood that I had to move. I just make myself. Maybe I was experiencing some kind of vision. Felt a strange calmness that I'd never experienced before. I didn't feel that I was myself. It was very strange. So do you think if you didn't have Hanyu constantly on her back, you solved the White Whale and Betelgeuse problem more effectively or faster than Subaru? I wouldn't say faster. The thing is, like, I feel like Subaru took a very inefficient path to reach that point, though, no? I feel like he did some very unorthodox things, but maybe those unorthodox things are what led him to solving those problems in the first place, you know? It's very weird to say because Subaru has very unique solutions to problems. That's like what I'm thinking of. So I think it's very hard to say. I wouldn't say that she'd solve it more efficiently or faster or more effectively. Because it, like, but she has infinite redos. I don't know. It's very hard to say. It is very hard to say. It just depends on how easy and how good she is at speaking with people and getting them to band together. That is the main thing. Just consider those things. And I started to think that the telephone booth had something to do with it. Because God led me there. He couldn't have done so just because it was providing shelter from the rain. There had to be something else. I wondered what it was. Could there be something in the booth that could save me? But what? The telephone booth is used to make a phone call. But I didn't have any money. Then I noticed something that looked like copper. You could have to go about things very differently. Yes, I agree. My heart skipped a beat. The 10 yen coin I saw there wasn't there before. Did I just... That's it? Didn't think so. Must have just showed up. In other words, this 10 yen coin was guidance from God. He was telling me to make a call with that coin. But who? Okay, yeah, it's a bit too late. Okay, never mind. There was no telephone book. In that case, I could only call a number I knew. Did God want me to do that then? One coin. I could only call one number. I couldn't talk for that long. I challenged God earlier, so it was just a matter of course thing that God was challenging me in return. Only one chance, and he wanted me to test my luck with that chance. I left the phone booth and looked up at the sky. Then I yelled in my heart, "You're on, God." I wondered who I could call. Who? My house? My parents were dead, I had no relatives. Even if I called, nobody would answer. Actually, the phone bill wouldn't have been paid for a long time, so the phone line would have already been disconnected. My house was my lost life itself. No, the debris of my life. Falling home would simply be an expression of regret. Which ran counter to the positive attitude of one trying to change their life. Surely using the coin to call my house was wrong. Which meant I had to cast this 10 yen coin towards my future. My future? What future anyway? Another nuke goes off. Then I heard a huge... What? Is this angelic, like, theme? What? Like you're entering the gates of heaven. And I heard a huge thunderclap which cleared my mind. In that clear state of mind, I saw something from the past. It was the last sight of my father. His final moments of the hospital bed, though suffering from pain, he tried to tell me something very important.
もしもな、お父さんが死んだら。
Yeah. That's what I'm saying, like, the way Subaru gathered information and, like, think about like, he lived his lives differently every single time just to gather information. One life, he literally just cooped himself inside of the room doing nothing, right? Like, literally, he made everyone hate him, for that. One thing, he literally tried his best to be as nice to people as possible. To, like, not get murdered. Like, he ran his lives completely differently every single time. And I feel like not many people could do that. Regardless if it's Rika or not. I feel like not many people would willingly do that.
高野先生を頼りなさい。高野。ひふみ先生だよ。言ってみなさい。
高野。ひふみ？
そうだ。高野。ひふみ先生だよ。高野先生はお父さんの恩師なんだ。きっとお前を助ける。
That is true. Rika would not have the ego and hero complex Subaru had to overcome first. That is true. She would definitely have a head start there, but I feel like the reason Subaru was able to do all those I feel like what subsequently led to Subaru doing his actions that made everyone band together was because he had his ego and hero complex first. And getting beaten down and battered is what caused him to, I guess, rise up. Many doctors came to the room in a hurry. He wanted to tell me something else. The doctor stopped him from talking. It wasn't audible. It shouldn't have been, but it was to me. I heard it. I heard it, but I didn't want to hear him say it while suffering, so I pretended that I didn't hear. He said that while coughing. I heard it. There were numbers. Swallowed once. How do you remember this? That's crazy. You've heard it once. Right. It was... phone number. I knew nobody would take me in because we had no relatives. He told me to get in touch with him. Dr. Ifumi Takano. He tried to tell me his phone number. Oh, what had I done? He tried so hard using his last chance to tell me the most important thing. The thunder from earlier had made me remember it. Number I couldn't remember. Even once came out so smoothly. I dialed it in. This really was it. This was the number from my father's teacher, Dr. Takano. My hand stopped just as I tried to put the coin in. What if I hadn't remembered it correctly? No, there was no need to hesitate. I had to believe in myself. This had to be the correct number. I had to dial it before I forgot it again. Picked up the phone. The coin in. The dial tone on the other end. At that point, I decided to kill myself. Okay! I could go back into the woods and wait for another lightning bolt. To lie down and let the rainwater drown me too. I'd also fall asleep in the middle of the road and wait for a car to run me over. Made up my mind and put the coin in. Didn't hesitate any longer. Dialed the number out. But careful. If you dial quickly, sometimes you can make mistakes. I was getting irritated, and that almost made the phone number go vague in my head. I dialed the last digit and heard some electronic sounds on the other end. Hoped that I dialed the correct number. I didn't know what to say to Dr. Takano if I did connect. Or was I? What was I supposed to do? Was I supposed to ask him? I didn't know any of those things. Making a call isn't cheap. 1 10-yen coin would only buy me a short time to talk. The line must have connected then. I heard a ringtone. I only had a short time when someone answered the phone. I thought for a moment that I should put the phone down. I could at least get the coin back. Call back after sorting out my thoughts. Then someone answered.
高野です。
Felt like I was suffocating. My memory had been correct. I couldn't tell the age of the speaker, but it was a grown man's voice. Anyone who was my father's teacher must have been quite old. Never mind that. I hurry and say something. Hurry. Hurry!
高野先生ですか？高野ひふみ先生。
そうですが、どちら様ですか？
Must have been suspicious. Couldn't blame him. Stranger was asking about his name. Of course he gets suspicious.
ごめんなさい。私、田無って言います。田無美代子と申します。
田無さん？はい。
私の父に、高野先生に電話しろって言われたんです。父は、田無武光と言います。
田無。ああ、田無くん。ああ。
His voice suddenly changed. Dr. Takano had remembered his old student.
私、娘です。お父さんに電話しろって言われて。
田無くんに何かあったんですか？
Not good. I was gonna run out of time.
お父さんとお母さんが事故で死んじゃって、それで高野先生に電話しろって言われたんです。
田無くんがお亡くなりに？そうですか。二人とも？それは本当にお気の毒です。田無くんは私が大学で講師をしていた時、しばらく交流があったことがあります。何事にも勤勉な良い青年
What
で
is
した。
seen from Rika and Higurashi's... Whoa.
結婚式に呼んでもらった時に
Yeah,
あった
that's...
のが
I agree,
最後
Ru.
だっ
But
たような気が
I
します。
still feel that, like, the reason she gives up so easily is because of Hanyu, you know? Like, that's what I think. If Hanyu doesn't keep, like, feeding her into, like... Or feeding in... Because Rika tried many, many times, right? That was the entire idea. And I'm guessing Hanyu was there every time, like, oh, Rika, you shouldn't do it. If Hanyu wasn't there, I don't think that Rika would ever have given up entirely. But because Hanyu was there, Rika did eventually get whittled down and did give up. Obviously, he didn't know I was born, but he remembered my father. That was truly a stroke
そ
of
れ
luck.
で田無くんは私に何と？
Didn't know what to say. I was only told to call Dr. Takano. Did I tell him that? Time was running out. I felt more and more anxious by the minute. Phone calls were disconnected without notice, but somehow I sensed it. I only had enough time left for one sentence. So I decided to say one sentence filled with all my hopes. The phone call got disconnected. Maybe he only got part of what I said. I only hope he was able to sense my despair. I couldn't hear anything from the receiver anymore, but I actually talked to Dr. Takano. I confirmed that Dr. Takano existed. He existed and remembered my father. If he grieved over a student's death, he would come and visit my house. He would find out I was sent to an orphanage. Then he would come and get me. That's when tears flowed down my cheeks again. I thought that my life was hopeless. I never knew that finding even a grain of hope could make me feel so happy. Wrong. The voice I heard on the phone was so warm and dependable. My father must have thought about me for a long time in that hospital bed and came up with a name that he could trust his daughter with. Dr. Hifumi Takano. I could trust Dr. Takano. I had to believe he would find me. It might take more than just a few days. I'd have to wait patiently. A few days? A month? More? I could only wait patiently. Either way, I couldn't stay in the telephone box. The staff would easily find me there. I went out of the rain again. This time the rain felt a little warmer than before. I had wished to die by lightning, but after that phone call, I was filled with hope and the will to live. I wanted to live, and that's why I felt pain over my body. But I still wished to die. I didn't feel anything. I had to wait patiently until Dr. Takano came to pick me up. I had to get to the House of Love and Mercy. That would be the best place to wait for him. I didn't think the orphanage would tell him I escaped to the House of Love and Mercy. The house wouldn't stop me from calling him. All I'd have to do was call him again and let him know where I was. But I didn't know where I could find the House of Love and Mercy. I couldn't see any signs anywhere, and I didn't know what direction the orphanage I escaped from was in. I couldn't just stop. I had to walk. I had to find shelter. I had to find someone and ask for the direction to the House of Love and Mercy. I had to keep going because I finally saw the light at the end of the tunnel. The chills and throbbing pain tormented me, but I couldn't die until I met Takano-sensei. I wished a car would come by. If there was somebody who lived in the area, I could ask. So is this in Hinamizawa or is this somewhere else? But the police wouldn't do me any good. Because this looks like the exact same areas, but I don't know if they're just reusing assets, just to give the idea of what it looked like. I was sure the orphanage had already called the police about our escape, and they wouldn't be forgiving. The police were sure to send me back to the orphanage. Either way, I wished that someone would show up. Otherwise, I'd have to keep walking on the asphalt in the darkness forever. How long did I walk? Still no car. Just as I couldn't help but think that maybe the world perished, leaving only me behind. A car showed up. I sensed the car coming up from behind me, so I turned around. I saw their headlights approaching me. I thought for a moment. Did I stand in the middle of the street to stop the car? So dark. I didn't think the car would notice if I just waved at it. If I were to stand in the middle of the street, I could get run over. Well, I thought the car was getting closer and closer. When I made the phone call, I panicked and I didn't know what to say. I have to think very carefully. I guess that's fair. That is true, Ruben. That makes a lot of sense, actually, yeah. Because Subaru started from, like, a state where people, like, could not trust him. But if Rika starts out in a neutral state, maybe that's better. Maybe that's better. She doesn't need to work as hard comparatively. I couldn't think of anything, then I should just let the car go. With those thoughts vaguely on my mind, I was incredibly surprised when the car slammed the brakes with a screech and came to a stop. Maybe I wasn't all there after all that miraculous experience of a lightning striking near me. I'd half lost my mind in those dark woods, so I probably wasn't thinking very straight. Because the car had stopped after recognizing me. In other words, the driver knew who I was. And the only people in the area who would recognize me were... Suddenly a chill ran through my whole body. I started to dash away. I heard a voice calling after me. I no longer had the strength to run. My feet were trembling, and I couldn't make them cooperate. I realized then that I shouldn't have sat down in the telephone booth. That was why I couldn't keep running. I was suddenly grabbed from behind, the collar of my clothes almost choking me. I heard fabric being ripped. I fell in a puddle. A staff member got on top of me. This time his finger wasn't in my mouth. All I could do was struggle. And I did so. As I did so, I remembered all the scary stories Eriko and the others told me. All the torture the child who got caught had to endure. The drowned ducky punishment, the mashed caterpillar punishment, and the splayed piggy punishment. The names of those eerie-sounding punishments came to my mind. I screamed and struggled with all my might, but it was too late. I was shoved into the backseat of the car. Why couldn't they just let me go? Simple. They didn't want me talking about them to anybody. The staff were yelling and screaming while chasing me, but once we were in the car, they were silent. Like the Grim Reaper had come to get me. Whether I liked it or not, I had to come to terms with the fact that my luck had run out. But... I called Takano-sensei, so I knew he would come to get me. I didn't know when that would be, but I knew it would happen someday. So I wanted to live. I would be saved if I lived. I couldn't even imagine the kind of punishment that was waiting for me. But even so, I said to myself, I have to live. I'd already found the light at the end of the tunnel. All I had to do was endure until I reached it. The car stopped. We had arrived at the front gate of the orphanage. Two staff members grabbed my shoulders so I wouldn't run. My shoulders were very skinny, so it hurt a lot. Scared. Scared of what I would have to go through. We ran through the door, and I was finally sheltered from the rain. In a way, I wasn't sheltered at all, though. It was the middle of the night, and long past time to turn all the lights off. The orphanage should have been quiet. But I heard a noise. It was a strange noise. The noise of a shower. The noise of metal objects crashing into each other. Also, the staff's yelling and screaming. Chill went down my spine. Oh, what could I possibly write down to fully describe this fear? Staff member knocked on the door of the storage room, and the door opened. The moment it did, an angry roar issued from inside. Okay, Ruben, sounds good. We'll see you. Thank you for stopping by. A sight leapt into my eyes. I couldn't completely take in the bizarre scene before me. 2 staff members were hitting a mat with bamboo swords while yelling violently. Mat. You know, the one you use when you do gymnastics. Why was it rolled up like that? The rolled up mat was tied with a string and standing up in the corner. Staff members kept hitting it. The words are said to a person. Why are they yelling at a rolled up mat? The way they're hitting and yelling at it, it was as if they've gone mad. I see something sticking out from the top of the rolled up mat. See, whose shoes were those? All of a sudden I froze and I couldn't think anymore. One man stood in front of me. The man's pinky finger was wrapped in bandages. My eyes moved upwards from his pinky finger, met with his. The beast's eyes met mine, peering with intent to devour me. I squeezed out a voice to scream. My voice didn't come out, so it was more like a goldfish opening and closing its mouth. The beast stuck his little finger out in front of me and roared. I couldn't tell if it was a word or meaningless shriek. I was certain it was something abusive. Scared. I didn't want to die. I wanted to live. I knew that Dr. Takano would show up to save me. That was why I had to live and submit myself to the fear. I'm sorry. The man with the bandages grabbed my hair and dragged me along. All I could do was apologize and beg for forgiveness, while hoping the beast had even a tiny bit of mercy in him. I was like a broken, apologizing doll. A mad doll that kept mustering apologies until its key wound down. I was their toy, shedding tears, coughing blood, and apologizing in place of clicking gears. It seemed to the shower room while he dragged me along. The door was open and I heard wailing from the inside. What I saw was very strange. There's a locker on its side in the shower. What an odd sight. The locker was taking a shower. Sideways. I had never even imagined anything like that before. The locker was taking a cold shower while the 2 staff members hit it with bamboo swords. That explained the metallic noise I'd heard before. Beast didn't want me to see that. He pulled my hair violently and twisted my neck so that I looked in the opposite. This is so messed up. They wrapped it in the gymnastic bats. I can't imagine you're not getting hurt, though, right? The idea is that you don't get hurt. And, like, the staff can still hit you with the bats, but you still get the mental anguish of it. And then the other one is, like, you're put into a locker and put into running water in the shower while, like, you're being hit with, like, the sounds of bat. This is so messed up. And I realized he didn't do that to stop me from washing that shower. He did it to make me look at something else. I saw a window and a courtyard. Usually it was way too dark to see anything. The lights were on and the courtyard was very bright. And I saw it. Inside of the hen house, I saw him. Or saw that. What is that? All of them. That hair was Eriko's. Why was she? That was far too... I'm sorry. I don't want to die. I know Dr. Takato's coming to save me. I know he's coming. I was taken to the staff bathroom. It stunk of ammonia. I saw that, which just doesn't fit in a bathroom. How was this place? Why was this in the bathroom, I thought? He's not planning to do that with me, is he? Oh, no!
これは施設のルールを守らない悪い子をみんなちゃんとルールに沿って生活してそれを守らなかったらお仕置きを受けなきゃならないのが法治国家のルールなんだからね。
I'm sorry. I'll never do it again. I'll do everything you tell me to. I promise, I really do. Please spare me. Please spare me from that. Oh. Wow. Well then. Experienced a memory. Punishment. Been unlocked. I guess we continue. Let's go. How long have I been crying? I don't even know how long I've been comforted like this. Grandfather's hand is on my cheek to comfort me. Holding his hand lovingly, cheek against
落ち着いたかな？
おじいちゃん。
My grandfather put his other hand on my head. The warmth of his palms gradually calmed me down. Piles of documents were all around me. It was a mistake to sort through data while lying on a fluffy carpet. Must have fallen asleep. Had a terrible dream.
うつ伏せに寝ると胸が苦しくて悪い夢を見やすいんだよ。
Is that true?
もうこんな時間だ。美代子は部屋に帰って寝なさい。
全然平気。居眠りしちゃってたから眠気がなくなっちゃった。もうすぐで終わるの。だから終わらせちゃうね。
明日も学校がある。もう寝ないとまた先生にあくびを怒られてしまうよ。
That's the most comfortable position for me. Lying down with your chest, on the bed? I used to do that. But, I heard it's not very healthy. So I stopped doing that. Or honestly, like, I still do it, kind of. Like, I'm slowly trying to change it, but it takes a long time to change your sleeping position when it's, like, natural, you know? Yeah, because I pass out from not breathing as much and get to sleep. Oh, okay, wow. That's cool. That works, I guess. I've been going to bed late recently. Because of that, I yawn a lot at school. My teacher must have written a note to my grandfather.
大丈夫。ちゃんと終わったら寝る。だから続きをさせて。それに、おじいちゃんも私に構ってちゃダメ。早く書斎に戻って論文の続きを書くの。
Oh yeah, this backstory is very long. The day for him to present his findings is approaching. He's been working so hard, devoting himself to his research. There's unfortunately a limit to what an individual can do. He needs a collaborator in order to go further with his research. He has to explain that his investigation could be the key to solving the mysteries of human behavior, make people understand just how important his work is. This research is about a very complicated subject. Couldn't seek assistance from just anyone. Someone will be able to help him one day. How's your day, Dark Watts? Believing that, my grandfather earnestly continued his research. I wanted to help him more. All I could do is sort through his data, tidy up his materials. I also assist him around the house so he can concentrate more with the research. He always tells me how helpful I am. That isn't enough for me. I will study hard, get into a good college, and learn many things, so I can actually be of assistance to his research. I'm a mediocre student right now, and I don't particularly like school, but I will do it. I want to help my grandfather. If his heart were to fail and he couldn't continue his research. Eagle, USA, and other American stuff. Did US win Did US win their match in the World Cup? I wouldn't hesitate to cut open my chest and offer up my heart for him. If he needs his lungs, I'll give him my lungs. If any of his organs fail, I'll give him mine. There's nothing strange about those feelings. Perfectly normal ones. If he had found me even a day later, I might not have been alive. Or even if I lived, I would have been without my body intact, with my mind lost to me. Yep, against a bad team, I assume, but we take those! Is Paraguay a bad team? In other words, I'm alive because my grandfather came to save me. If he hadn't rushed to find me, I wouldn't be here. But I won't hesitate to give up my life for him. Moreover, I'd be more than happy to do that. Even though I want to be with him forever, human lives aren't immortal. Just like how my parents died. It happens so suddenly, without any warning. Their defense felt very sloppy. Okay. So there you go, I guess. You take those. I'll never heal from my parents' deaths. But now that I have my grandfather, I'm not sad. However, his existence isn't eternal either. He may disappear all of a sudden for any unexpected reason, just like my parents. That's why I wish to be a part of him. That way, no matter what happens, we'll be together forever. I don't want to be alone ever again. I want to be with my grandfather forever. I want him to help me forever.
わかった。じゃあ、この資料の整理が終わったらちゃんと寝るんだよ。約束。
約束。
Pinky promised after that. We smiled at each other, and my grandfather went back to his study. The dried up tears are making my cheeks itch. My day's been good. I came back home after work and then took a nap and then got on, played some stuff, made some food. And I'm streaming. That's basically it. I headed to the bathroom to wash my face and brush my teeth. I looked at my face in the mirror. None of my grandfather's features are recognizable on my face. Of course they aren't. We're not related. Also worked on my video a bit. I've been trying to work on my video every single day. And I've been wanting to get a, like, short every single week. So I have to go through my, like, streams and see which one's, like, a clippable moment, I guess, that I would do for the week. He must have had a family too, but I've never heard about them. He doesn't seem to want to talk about that subject, so I don't ever ask him about it. I don't care if he has real grandchildren or not. Even if I'm not related to him, I'm a granddaughter of Hifumi Takano. I'm not just a granddaughter either. I want to be more than that. I don't want a parent and child relationship, nor a lover's relationship, nothing like that. I want something more certain that binds our souls. Something that not even a tragedy can destroy. You just posted... Well, I haven't posted any shorts yet. But I will put them on YouTube. I'll probably put them on TikTok. I'll probably look to put them on Insta. Those are the areas that I could think of. I guess maybe I could do Facebook if I really wanted to, but I don't think people care that much about it. I am Miyoko Takano, Hifumi Takano's granddaughter. Maybe it should just be Mio instead. That's what my grandfather sometimes calls me. I want to succeed, Hifumi spirit. Nah, the boomers wouldn't understand. Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. But they do have shorts there, but yeah. Since his name counts from 1 to 3, I want us to share that 3 be the 4th in his line. The only good thing there is Marketplace. That is true. Yes, that is definitely true. Today, my name changes. I wrote that new name in the mirror. Mio Takano. What a wonderful name for the new me. So her name before was what? Miyoko Ta something? Tanashi. Miyoko Tanashi. But now she's Mio Takano.
大佐殿、ご無沙汰いたしております。
高野くん、だからもう大差はなしだよ。なしなし。暮れに具合を悪くしたと聞いてから心配してたんだよ。でも元気そうで何より。
Do games like these get you emotional? I think if I can get, like, into them a lot, you know, if I get really invested into them, then yes, I would say. Like, I mean, emotional, like, what do you mean by emotional exactly? Like, do I start crying? No. But I would say, like, you know, when I get invested into something, I do get invested into them, you know? I do care about a lot of stuff. It's why, like, when creating D&D, like, when I create D&D stuff, I mean, like, it's, like, I get invested into my videos what I make, you know? Because, like, I think the main... I remember this piece of information from my 4th grade teacher, and it's something that I think of a lot. And it's no tears in the writer, no tears in the reader. And it's not necessarily meant to be taken literally, obviously, but it's like, if you don't feel something yourself when, like, creating something, how can you expect other people to feel something? And I wouldn't say I get emotional from the work itself, but usually when I think of something and then translate it to something that I want to make or something that I have an idea of, that is when I get emotional. Because it's, I don't know. That's how I see it. Depends on the storytelling, gets you attached. Yeah. My grandfather always told me he doesn't have any friends. To tell me everyone died in the war. That's not true. He has one very close friend. This is him. He's an elderly man my grandfather calls Colonel Koizumi. I don't know exactly where they met, but every time they get together, all they talk is about... I think there are times I can... Okay, so... There have been times in this, for example, right? That I've gotten, like I'll be like, damn, that's powerful. Or like, damn, that's like, that's a good scene, you know? But I wouldn't say that me commenting on something being a good scene is different than me getting emotional, you know? Like, me getting emotional is me attaching myself or like having some part to play in, or like having some connection in some way to the scene being portrayed. However, me just saying that's a really good scene and me like saying like that's powerful or that's a very meaningful scene or being saying something along those lines, that's not me getting emotional. That's just me commenting on something being a good scene in and of itself, but me not necessarily having any personal stake into it. I guess that's where they met.
ミオちゃんも大きくなったね。今身長は何センチくらいになったんだい？
この間身体検査があったけど、2センチ伸びました。
そうかそうか。育ち盛りはいいの。いっぱい食べて、いっぱい運動して、いっぱい大きくなるんだよ。いいなあ、高野くんはこんなに可愛いお孫さんに恵まれて。
Mr. Koizumi knows that my grandfather and I aren't related, but he always calls me his granddaughter. That makes me very happy, so I poured a little more black tea into his cup. After I finished serving tea, I left with a bow. I want to stay and listen to them talk. But I guess my grandfather doesn't want me to hear stories of the war, so he always makes me leave. I left before I was told to. Having to leave doesn't mean I need to go to a different room. I just headed to the other side of this huge living room instead. Although I'm not right by them, I can still sit on the sofa and listen to their conversation. If they need something, I can come help them right away. I try to earn points that way to prove I'm useful. I sat on a sofa far away from them and started reading an encyclopedia. While doing that, I tried to listen to their conversation.
それはよかった。教授たちは都合が合えば再来週の日曜日にも早速来たいって言ってくれたよ。本当ですか？ありがとうございます、小泉さん。いや。高野くんが書いたレポートが
Have you played
そ
more
れだけ
Arena
興味深かった
Dark
ことの
Walks?
証左だの。かなり関心を持ってくれてね。
Oh wait, you're going on your trip soon, right?
ノーベル賞ものの研究になるか
In
も
like
し
2
れない
days?
と
With
非
who?
常に受けが良かった。
Yes, in like 2 days, right? I mean, I don't know. You don't need to be... I know sometimes you just queue up Arena by yourself. Or not Arena, sorry. I meant Mayhem.
ノ
My bad.
ーベル賞だなんてそんな。いや、お言葉だけでも恐縮です。
My grandfather laughed. Since he laughed so cheerfully, something great must have happened. Mr. Koizumi must have shown the society the essay my grandfather was about to announce and gauge their reactions. And supposedly, they found it extremely interesting. That means they recognize the value of my grandfather's research. That makes me happy too.
しかし、いつも心配なのは、君自身がひなみ沢症候群に感染してしまってやしないかということだね。君が自分の首をかきむしるようなことがないよう。
ひょっとすると、私もすでに感染しているかもしれませんな。でも、ひなみ沢症候群は、普通に生活する分には決して危険な病気ではないのです。村人たちがお社様信仰を作り出し、厳しい戒律で自らを縛った頃はかなり危険な病気だったかもしれない。でも時間とともにそれは薄まり、今ではよっぽどのことがない限り発症することはないようです。
あれだけの発症例があったのに。
Yeah, it does have character art, but the thing is, okay, you've come in at a very weird time. So, let me show you. This is everything, Higurashi. I've gone through every single one of this. We are in the last chapter right now. And, right now, at the very end of chapter 7, it revealed, like, basically a character that has been evil this entire time at the very end. I mean, we kind of suspected that she was evil, but like they finally like revealed it, right? So we're at the beginning of chapter 8 right now, and this entire time is backstory for that character. So far, we've had this is the 4th chapter now, where it's just giving backstory for that character, and because they're not a main character, like this obviously her backstory is not going to have any of our main cast. She's not going to have any of our main cast. It's going to be no art for like a lot of the characters. So that's the idea. So that's why it's all just background and whatever, and it's nothing. Yeah.
普通に心穏やかに生活している分には何にも悪さをしない病気な
So
のです。
all this right now is just backstory for Takano, who's the person who's like evil. Or like, maybe not evil, but like is definitely the main antagonist, who it's meant like shown to be.
そうです。なに恐れることなどないのですよ。初期の自覚症状はうつ状態に似た疑心暗鬼。それを自覚したら、高野式呼吸法などにより心身のリラックスを図り、
Hamburger fell asleep on VC. Oh no, they're just snoring.
これで発症など
Well,
未
what can
然
you
に
do?
防
Did
げ
you
て
leave
し
the
まう
call
のです。
or how did they fall asleep on VC? Were you guys not talking?
実際、私の指導下にあったひなみ沢出身兵士は一人も開始しませんでしたぞ。
As he talks, grandfather started demonstrating the Takano breathing method, a bizarre exercise technique. According to him, the technique relaxes the body and lets blood and lymphatic fluid flow smoothly. As a result, he relaxed emotionally. We were, but they just passed out. If you like, that's so funny though, right? If you guys were, I can understand someone falling asleep in call if like they're not being mentioned, right? But if it's just you two on call and you guys are just talking back and forth, how does someone just pass out like that? That's funny. The movements involved in the technique are so weird. I had to look away because my grandfather looked so silly. That was the only thing about his research that I felt bad about. Yeah. Grandfather asked me to do this exercise too. I don't want to make him sad, so I just do it when instructed.
ならばいいんだがね。研究対象が元で死に至ってる医学者は過去にもたくさんいる。君も気をつけての。
だが、研究に準じた彼らの偉業は死後も揺るがない。研究者としては本懐でしたでしょうな。
Grandfather tells me about Hideo Noguchi often. He was born as the son of a poor farmer, but he studied hard and became a doctor. However, he was mistreated because of his background, so he left Japan. He moved to the United States. There he made many accomplishments as a researcher. He discovered a vaccine for yellow fever. Grandfather's background is somewhat similar to his. He often said that out of all researchers, he admired him the most. Hideo Noguchi died in North Africa. While he discovered a vaccine for yellow fever, he heard it wasn't effective on yellow fever in North Africa. While he discovered a vaccine for yellow fever, he heard it wasn't effective on yellow fever. Oh, okay. He went there to research it, came down with the disease, and died. Researcher losing his life for his research. Sometimes that's the test of researcher's courage. In that sense, grandfather is very brave to visit Hinamizawa himself to gather information. He himself says that he may already be infected, although my grandfather estimates from an ancient text that the Hinamizawa syndrome was only a menace centuries ago. Now it's no different from the usual bacteria that share a symbiosis with humans. Many people became ill with the disease during the war, but that was because they were in an extremely abnormal situation. Diana, for Umineko, is there like a after chapter like how Higurashi has, like how there's today? Or does Umineko end with chapter 8? Today's peaceful environment, it's almost impossible for a person to develop symptoms. He sounds very optimistic, but he never brought me with him to Hinamizawa, so maybe he isn't as optimistic as all that. However, since I live with him, there's a possibility that I'm already infected as well. But I'm not worried at all. That's because my grandfather has taught me that as long as I maintain myself physically and emotionally, I won't develop any symptoms. I know all about the horrible, terminal symptoms of Hinamizawa syndrome, but I'm not overly fearful of them. There's a mini arc after, but I don't know if it's canon or not. Okay. Grandfather's enjoying his conversation with Mr. Koizumi. That's understandable. Your Koizumi told him some people showed great interest in his report. They even want to come over on Sunday, the week after next, and meet and talk to him directly. It also released like 10 years after 8 released. Okay. Was it the same time they released that other Higurashi thing? So, oh, so you're guessing it's canon, or you're guessing it's not canon? The rapid advance of modern medicine, border frontiers are steadily dwindling. Was it a possibility the Hinamizawa syndrome my grandfather discovered might be a new continent? It's not, okay. It'll be decided in 2 weeks. Sounds like there'll be more than one person coming. It also sounds like they're all important people in this society. They're all rich and famous, yet they aren't satisfied with just that. They all want to just be involved with something that's worth an international. There's a chance to gain assistance and sponsorship at the time. At the same time.
再来週
Today was soon after Chapter 8 released. Okay.
私も様子を見に来ます。ぜひ頑張ってください。これもすべて小泉さんのおかげです。本当にありがとうございます。それは無事賛同者を集められてからにしましょう。その折にはぜひ秘蔵のワインを開けて乾杯といきましょうの。
That was the last of their conversation. My grandfather kept his head bowed until Mr. Koizumi was gone. Sounded like he set up the great chance for my grandfather. So I bowed my head and, just like him.
聞いてたかい？ようやくチャンスが巡ってきたよ。私のレポートに関心を持ってくれる人が現れたのだ。
聞いてたよ。これでおじいちゃんの研究に協力してくれる人やお金を出してくれる人が現れるんだね。
まだそうと決まったわけじゃないさ。
Although he didn't want to admit it, he had a good feeling about it. The research he had conducted all alone was finally about to gain recognition.
再来週の日曜日なの？
忙しくなるぞ。プレゼンテーションで第一印象のすべてが決まる。資料を読みやすく作り直したり、いや、人前できちんと説明できるよう少し練習をした方がいいかもしれない。とにかく手落ちがないようにしっかりやらないとな。
資料の作り直しは大事だね。おじいちゃんの字は読みにくいから少し大きめに書いた方がいいと思う。
とにかく忙しくなるぞ。再来週か。うかうかしていたらあっという間だ。
そうだね。私もお手伝いするよ。ホルマリンの容器とかのホコリも拭き取らないとね。あと丸まった資料の反りを直さないと。絨毯の下に敷いて一晩も置いたら治るかな。
Do you think leaving them laid out over the rug overnight would fix it?
やらなければならないことは山ほどだな。ミオ、手伝ってくれるかい？
もちろん。学校休んでお手伝いする。
それはいかん。
We laughed together, thrust our fists into the air, and motivated ourselves to work hard towards the week after next. Since that day, my grandfather spent more time in his study. It's not easy to create a report that you're going to show other people. Copying machines hadn't been invented back then, so everything had to be handwritten. He knows it's somewhere, but he just can't remember where he put the data he needs. As for me, I have to make sure I have enough guest cups to serve tea. I'm counting them. Do I have enough tea leaves? Maybe I should just get something to go with tea. My grandfather knows nothing about these things. There's a whole list of chores to do. I need to clean the windows so the room will be bright. What else? 2 weeks pass quickly while we busy ourselves getting things done. What a wonderful 2 weeks it is. I could finally feel that I'm actually doing something to help my grandfather. I hope the day of the meeting will be a memorable one, my grandfather. Hope that day will be a beautiful and clear one. Just as I wish, the day is beautiful. My grandfather, having dressed formally, paced around his study nervously. I'm also in a beautiful dress. I've only worn it once before at my piano recital. But I'm not nervous like my grandfather. This silly nervousness actually relaxes me. Are they here yet? Grandfather looked out the window. A black car stopped in front of the gate. Back then, a car was a luxury item. I don't think I had even one classmate whose family owned a car. It only makes sense that the men coming out of the car looked respectable. Grandfather and I ran out to welcome them.
ようこそおいでくださいました。高野と申します。今日は本当にようこそ。
お召し物をお預かりします。
I greeted them and filled the role we decided ahead of time. Though my being relaxed by my grandfather's silliness ended at that point. Both my grandfather and I were stiff with anxiety as we greeted them now that the moment was here.
はじめまして先生。そしてはじめましてお嬢さん。いえ、お孫さんですかな。
孫です。ミヨ、ご挨拶なさい。
はじめまして。高野美代と申します。
賢そうな子ですね。本日は小泉先生の代理で参りました。小泉先生は急な用事が入ってしまい、本日は出席をすることができなくなってしまいました。そのこと大変残念がっておりました。
そうですか。それは残念です。
I wonder if if Koizumi was able to come though, if this meeting would have gone differently. We all know that he doesn't get the funding, but the person who set up everything isn't here. My grandfather even had his treasured wine ready, just as they promised 2 weeks ago.
皆さん、ご紹介いたします。こちらは高野一二三先生です。高野先生は戦時中、満州の貿易研究所におられ、伝染病予防分野の第一人者として活躍されておりました。また、戦地での栄養失調、食糧難対策として、合成食品や合成種の研究に特に顕著な功績を残されました。
よろしく。
はじめまして。
お邪魔いたします。
Men are even older than my grandfather. They take off their hats one at a time to greet him. Their beards, expensive-looking canes, and glasses tell me they're very high up in society. Grandfather bows to each one of them.
それでは皆さん、どうぞ書斎へ。誇り臭い場所で大変恐縮です。どうぞこちらへ。ミヨ、皆さんにお茶の準備を。
はい。
I wasn't nervous at all earlier, but now I think I'm the most nervous one. I'm not the one making the presentation, and I'm not the one being evaluated, so it's ridiculous that I'm feeling so nervous. I don't know if I should use that as my excuse, but I was so nervous that I knocked over the thermos I'd filled to the brim with hot water and ruined the black tea I'd specifically chosen for this day. I apologized to my grandfather and started to boil water again. I just needed enough for the guests. By the time I had cups of tea and cookies ready, grandfather's presentation was at its key part.
血管もしくはリンパ管を破って脊髄へ侵入し、髄液を通って脳内に至るものと思われます。また死後の解剖結果、脳炎を起こしたものを複数件確認しています。類似の症状をもたらすウイルスは過去の事例を紐解いても数種類あり、その中でも代表的なものは。
Grandfather said, walking between samples and formalin jars, pointing to several as he gave his explanation. There are over 100 formalin jars in here, with parts of brains in them. They're all very dusty, so I spent a few days cleaning them. I'm rather proud to see these sparkling jars all lined up like
ただ
this.
し、これらのウイルスが引き起こす症状は多岐にわたります。
On the other hand, Shimizuwa syndrome are very specific to that
それ
disease.
が喉を自らかきむしる自傷行為だとおっしゃるのですね。
さようです。これについては死亡直前を知る兵士たちの目撃情報から分かっています。この自傷行為はこれまでに知られてきたどのような病状にもありません。ひなみ沢症候群独自のものです。また末期患者にしか見られない行為であることから、これは一部の感染症に見られるのと同じエクソダスであると考えられます。感染者の体内で十分に成長し、幼虫を繁殖させた後、ウイルスは体外へ脱出し、次なる感染者を探すのです。
では、その血液にはウイルスもしくは陽性が満たされているわけであり、貿易の知識のない現地の兵士がそれに触れていたならば、彼らも感染していた可能性があるわけです。にもかかわらず、ひなみ沢出身者以外の兵士に感染例がないことをどうお考えですか？
これについては潜伏期間その他を疑ったのですが、ひなみ沢という地域だけに限定していることから考え、現地の特殊な気候その他があると考えられます。また辞書で詳しく取り上げておりますが、ひなみ沢の古い土着の信仰から考え、
ありえないですよ、高野先生。ウイルスに社会性があるなど聞いたこともない。
いえ、ですからこれこそがひなみ沢症候群の画期的な発見の一つでありまして。
The elderly gentleman mumbled to each other while pointing at the data. With that, I finally realized things aren't going too well.
高野先生のご考説を賜りながら先の資料を拝見させていただきました。まず申し上げて、脳内に潜伏したウイルスが人間の思想をコントロールするなど全くもってありえないことです。人間の思考は極めて高度な神の芸術ともいえる脳で作られます。また思想というものは人間の思考の中でも非常に上位のものであり、現在の地球上においては人間にのみ許された高度な能力です。それに介在するウイルスがいるなど考えられませんよ。
同感です。思想とはつまり個より全体を優先した考え方とも言えます。つまり社会性を維持する最前提条件なわけですな。それが遺伝子を残すこと以上の欲求を持たないウイルスごときに宿るわけがない。生物学的にも言ってウイルス性の微細な生命体に社会性、新社会性が発見されたことは一度たりともありません。
しかし脳内の生命体が宿主の行動に干渉するケースは非常に多く報告されており、
高野先生は一つ誤解をされていますな。ウイルスが宿主の行動を支配する原理は常に生殖繁殖のためという極めて原始的理念に基づくものだけ
But
で
this
す。
doesn't seem to me like they were interested in the research, like Koizumi was saying. Even in the example you used before of a rat infected with Toxoplasma gondii losing its aversion to cats, the altered behavior simply means to let their host be eaten by a better host in order to change hosts. That is true.
ハリガネムシに寄生されたバッタの受水自殺がいい例ですな。ハリガネムシは十分に成長すると水生となります。その際、宿主であるバッタを水辺へ誘導して溺死させ、その体内から水中へ脱出する。
その通りです。私はひなみ沢症候群における自殺的な喉のかきむしりもそれに当たると考えまして。
For example, guinea worms escape the body by having the host scratch the affected area.
そうです。すべてのウイルスの目的は繁殖のため。そんな存在が神の芸術ともいえる脳に潜伏し、いやいや、潜伏すること自体は別におかしいことではない。寄生し人間の思想に影響を及ぼすなんて、はっきり申し上げて妄言です。いや、危険思想と言ってもいい。
ひなみ沢という村が閉鎖的文化から独自の信仰を生み出したこと自体はそう不思議には思いません。日本各地に散見するよくあるケースです。だとしたら日本中のそれらの文化は全てウイルスによるものなのですか？それらは文化的なものであってひなみ沢の件に限ってはウイルスによるもの。その区別をどう立証されたのですか？
いえ、ですから現地で死亡したひなみ沢出身兵士の解剖の結果からそうだと信じるに足るさまざまな。
失礼だが高野先生、信じるに足る臨床データだと語るには少々先生の収集されたケースは少なすぎます。しかもご自身で言われたように戦場という異常な状況下の話です。
いえ、ですから次の章で説明しますように、ひなみ沢症候群は疑心暗鬼と緊張、ストレスなどによる微妙なバランスが崩壊した時に、
喉をかきむしるという特徴的かつ異常な自傷行為が複数件あったならば、何かの共通性があるに違いないと疑われるのもユニークかとは思います。ですが、だからこそ当てにならないのですよ。戦地という異常な状況下でたまたまレアなケースが重なっただけのことなんです。高野先生は重なった偶然を見てゲシュタルト的な構成主義にとらわれ、法則性を見つけたように錯覚してしまったのではないかと考えます。
そうでないことを証明するにはひなみ沢症候群の感染者に対する膨大な臨床データが必要です。ですが倫理的に考えてこりゃ立証は不可能でしょう。
Oh, and that's why Takano kills everyone. It's to have a large amount of Hinamizawa syndrome patients. For data, yeah. So what happens, what is revealed at the very end of chapter 7 is that Takano commits mass genocide on the entire village. She basically, like, herds them, or, like, you know, she commands her soul. Basically, it's like this entire thing, and she herds... The government is convinced that everyone in Hinamizawa has to die, so the world, like, the world cover-up is that, like, oh, they died in some volcanic gas release that, like, killed the entire village. But what actually happened is that, they herded people together and, like, basically killed them with gases themselves. And then now, it now makes sense, because she would always, like, dude, I never understood why she did that, but now it makes sense, because, yes, now... her entire idea was to continue her grandfather's research. So, to have a lot of bodies to be able to examine for Hinamizawa syndrome, that makes a lot of sense. Like, why she committed the mass genocide in the first place. And why she says, like, oh, I'm a god now. Because her entire idea that her grandfather had was that to become a god is to be remembered for eternity. Just like how Jesus was, like, remembered, you know? That's, like, the entire idea. That makes a lot of sense. That's really cool.
文化依存症候群の範疇です。それに対しウイルスによる意識支配を重ねられることは失礼だが、高野先生はユニークなひなみ沢の信仰に心酔し、その結果
I still don't know why they did the backstory like this, because I feel like it would make more sense to do this first, and then do the conversation they had yesterday later. Then, because then it's like, oh, you think that they actually didn't like the research, but then it's revealed that they do. But then you find out that it's revealed that they like the research, but then you come to here where you think, like, it's showing that they don't like the research, but in reality they do. It's like, it's weird. At least I think so. The more they talk, the paler my grandfather's face becomes. I was just stunned myself. I've never heard of parasites like that. It's impossible. It was just a coincidence and there isn't enough data. Talk goes on and on. Every time grandfather says something, they dismiss it like that. Before he knew it, my grandfather could only hold his silence before their criticisms.
ただ、どんな発見も最初は理解されないものです。高野先生の研究もそのうちの一つでないかと考えます。当時、どんなにバカバカしいと思われていた研究でも、その後、真実が解き明かされ、評価は
私は皆さんに比べれば素人です。個人の研究家に過ぎず、一流大の出でもなければ学閥にも属していません。もちろん権威や研究所へのコネクションもありません。故に個人の研究ではこの程度のことまでしか調べられないのです。果たしてひなみ沢症候群が真実なのか、それとも皆さんがおっしゃられるように私の妄想に過ぎないのか、それを確かめるためにお力添えをいただくことはできませんでしょうか。
もちろんこれが世紀の大発見になるならば一大センセーションを巻き起こすでしょう。何しろ人間の文化や思想はすべてナノ単位の脳内生命体の意志によるもので、前頭葉は彼らを住まわせるだけの場所に過ぎないという。
ひなみ沢症候群が存在し、その感染者が感染によってそのお社様信仰というものに組み込まれることがもし立証できたなら、地球上に存在する全ての宗教、いや文化国境さえもウイルスで説明できるかもしれないんですからな。その話の壮大さはとてもユニークです。高野先生は我々のような人間にひっそりと論文を読ませるより、それで本を書かれて一般大衆に発表された方がよろしいでしょうな。
Grandfather looks at the ground, his fist trembling a little, but their words are far too cruel. I don't know anything about academics, I'm just a little girl. I don't know exactly what they're talking about, but father worked so hard by himself until today. But to prove his research and to delve further into it, he needs sponsors. Yet those sponsors are casting him away, calling his research a delusion. It's outrageous. Like asking which came first, the chicken or the egg. Besides, if his research was at the level those cheeky men want to see, he wouldn't need their help. But they're saying that they can't help him unless they see some results that are beyond the level of private research. In any field, doesn't research always start out with just a little idea? You can prove its existence beforehand. What's the point of researching it to begin with? If a wild idea can't be the subject of research, how do we gain any knowledge at all? But never mind that. Mr. Koizumi came 2 weeks ago. Didn't he say that they were really interested in his research? What's going on? This is the complete opposite of what he said. Yeah, but we know they actually are interested, but they just have to say something.
Hi.
Oh, are we back in, not present day, but later day, I guess.
非常に興味深い研究だと思っております。脳はまだまだ未知の領域です。
この高野氏の論文は非常にユニークです。特に優生学的見地からは無視できないものが感じられます。
人は神の子などでは断じてない。人も進化の洗礼を受けた動物に過ぎません。ならばダーウィンに従い、各地の環境に応じて進化には差が出てくる。つまり、人類にはすでに優劣があるのです。国家としていかに優秀な血統を守り、より良い遺伝子を未来に残せるか。これを国策として掲げ研究せねば、来世紀において人類は致命的な序列を与えられることになるでしょう。
高野氏の研究は単なる感染症の域を超えるだけのポテンシャルを秘めていると言えるでしょうな。
次世代に残すべきでない劣悪な人間が、もし遺伝子によるものでなく感染症によるものであると解明できたなら、外科的手段によって構成が可能だということになる。結果、我が国は未来に素晴らしい人間を残すこと
Okay,
が
I
でき
still
るでしょう。
can't tell if this is, like, later, like, adult Takano, or this is still when Takano's still a kid.
優生学的見地から高野氏の研究は早急に取り組まれるべきです。
これは世紀の大発見になる可能性がありますぞ。
This could be the greatest discovery since Moniz's invention of the lobotomy. Yeah, I wouldn't say that's such a great invention.
もし感染症疾患と個人の資質の因果関係が立証できれば、ノーベル賞
You
ど
do
こ
have
ろ
to
では
keep in
済まんで
mind,
しょうな。
Darkwas, this is probably like when Higurashi normally takes place, like the latest date is usually like, I can't actually remember the exact date, but it's like 1970s to 1980s. So if this is when Takano, like the girl is a kid, it's probably like sometime after World War II, so maybe like 40 or 50, if I were to guess. Maybe 1960? Not sure.
小泉先生、この度の貴重な機会に深く感謝いたします。
高野くんは昔から一途で熱心な男での。だが人付き合いが下手くそでな。ずっと一人で研究してきたのだ。
Okay, so this is the
だ
conversation
が
before?
一人でできる限界を迎え、ようやく人に助けを求めることを覚えたんだな。どうか先生方、高野くんの話に耳を傾けてやってください。
恐れ多いですよ先生。むしろこの度のご縁にこちらが感謝したいくらいです。
私どもとしてはもう協力させていただくことは前提です。むしろ学会での縄張り調整の方が今後
Why do we have access to this conversation? Like Takano
こ
didn't
の
say this
ような
before.
ユニークな研究を世界に先駆けて研究できるとは、この年になってこのような貴重な幸運に恵まれたのを感謝したいです。
There was a knock on the door. The sliding door opened and the owner peeked in.
失礼いたします。お客様がお見えになっておりますが、お通ししてよろしいでしょうか。
客？はて、どちら様ですかの？
The owner whispered into Koizumi's ears and his face turned pale all of a sudden.
お通ししてください。いや、私もお迎えに上がります。
Koizumi stood up. 2 pairs of footsteps reached the door.
先生、このようなところへお越しいただけるとは。
小泉君、ご無沙汰だな。今日はちとどうしても君にしておきたい話があって
Who is
な。
elder?
このようなところへお越しいただけると。はい。体温ある先生の話とあっては聞かぬわけには参りません。 何でもおっしゃってください。
The old man known as Koizumi was not someone whose status could be taken lightly. Although he had retired, he was still powerful enough to wield great influence as a fixer. But from his meek attitude, it was easy to figure out what kind of person this man must be. The old man held onto his bodyguard's shoulder as he walked. He had an expensive-looking cane in his other hand. He couldn't even walk on his own because of his old age. But his intense commanding presence hadn't declined one bit. Okay, yeah. So this is when he comes in and tells him to stop the research.
はと申しますと。小泉君、ひなみ沢症候群は墓場まで持ってかなきゃならん。あれに手をつけちゃならねえんだ。あれを調べるとな、やぶをつついて蛇を出すかもしれん。しかも太くてでかい蛇をな。君がこのままガブリとやられるのを黙って見とるには忍びないのでな。ちょいと君の小耳に入れてやろうと思って今日は来たんだ。それの先生方にはお待ちいただいて。どうだ、ちょいと向こうの部屋でわしと飲まんか。はい、お供させていただきます。
Koizumi realized that he was being pressured. He didn't know which direction it was coming from, but clearly some authorities weren't comfortable with the research on Hinamizawa syndrome and were trying to stop him from supporting it.
小泉君、わかっているかね?
Okay, I'm gonna skip through this because we've seen this. Like, we literally had this explained to us already. Oh wait, did they skip it? Okay, good. Thank you for skipping it.
まったくのよまいごとですな。本日私どもがお邪魔したのは、本来ならば本日お邪魔するにも値しない内容だったのを、小泉先生たっての願いということで義理を尽くさせていただいたまでです。
徒労ではありましたが、来て正解でした。あなたに適切なアドバイスをすることができるのですから、あなたは余生をこんなことに費やされるくらいなら、盆栽でも始めなさい。
So, Darkwatch, if you're still here, basically the entire idea is that they actually are interested in it. But the idea is... Okay, more explanations. There is this thing called the Marco Polo Bridge incident, which is essentially the Japanese like shot at the Chinese, or sorry, they don't know if the Japanese shot at the Chinese first or the Chinese shot at the Japanese first, but that caused the Sino-Japanese War, I think it's called. Yeah, Sino-Japanese War. And the idea is that both sides don't agree which side shot first at, like, you know, at the bridge. But they believe that this research would prove that the Japanese side shot first, because in this world, someone from Hinamizawa was the person who shot first. So that's the idea. That they don't want to be the one to admit that they, like, apologize to China that they're the one that shot first and started the entire war.
あなたさえ良ければ出版社の社長を紹介しますよ。大衆にはこのくらいの刺激があった方がウケるでしょうからな。
Don't even try to hide their hostility. They're laughing at my grandfather, denouncing him and saying these things to denigrate not only his research but his personality as well. They're simply trying to provoke him. Any response would just be giving them what they want. Even in this very moment, grandfather tried to remain a noble researcher and a proud human being. He's no longer trembling. On the contrary, he apologized to them for taking up their time and told them he had no intention of keeping them any longer.
この論文はお返ししますよ。もっとも、これを論文と呼んでいいなら、学会もどれだけ気楽なことか。
Because they were from Hinamizawa, they, like, basically lost... Yeah, it's basically hysteria. Yeah, some kind of hysteria, and then they are the ones that ended up shooting first. Yeah. One of the elderly gentlemen tossed it back to him. Grandfather couldn't catch it on time. The article he worked so hard fell on the floor, and the papers scattered all over the carpet. The elderly gentleman left the study without even apologizing for it. Everyone else followed suit. As they left, they trod all over my grandfather's article. Looked like grandfather's expression didn't change, but I could see it warping. I could see the wall of research grandfather bore crunching and warping sadly. I jumped. I grabbed onto the elderly gentleman's leg. I don't hate him. If I were asked if I hated him or not, the answer would be yes, but that's not the point here. What I really can't stand is this foot stepping over my grandfather's article. I want to move the foot that's standing on his papers. But the foot doesn't move no matter how hard I push or pull if it's rooted to the floor. I felt someone grabbing me from behind. It was my
孫
grandfather.
が失礼をいたしました。さあどうぞこのままで結構ですので、後片付けは私どもの方でしますので。
おじいちゃんの踏まないでったら
My screams don't mean a thing to them. Completely ignored screams. I continued to step on the papers and left the study. Only my grandfather and I remain there now. My grandfather is still grabbing the back of my collar. I don't have any words left to say. He cries. My grandfather is determined not to show any emotion. He doesn't even open his mouth. So I have to cry for him. Just then my grandfather slapped me in the face. That startled me. I'm crying for him, so why did he slap me? Then I understand. Grandfather is the one who wants to cry. He's enduring. But I shouldn't cry either. I wipe my eyes and my runny nose, and then I silently turn my eyes to the papers on the carpet, just like my grandfather.
ごめんだ、ミオ。
I don't understand why he's apologizing. I thought he was going to complain about their
もっ
rudeness.
と私がしっかり研究できていればこんなことにはならなかったの。せっかく今日までミオがあれだけお手伝いをしてくれたのに、それを無駄にしてしまってごめんな。
How courageous he is. Even after that disaster, he's still concerned about me. I shook my head and put my hands on the floor. I tried to gather up the papers, but then they began to fall. Tears are overflowing again, blurring the ink on the papers. These are all handwritten by grandfather. He was so happy that finally there was someone who understood his research. So happy. You spent all night writing these. They stepped on them. Might as well have stepped on my grandfather's very soul.
私の研究がまだまだ足りなかったんだ。もっともっと研究を重ねていたならこんなことにはならなかったんだ。ごめんな。本当にごめんな。おじいちゃんはもっともっと研究を重ねるからな。これくらいのことじゃくじけないからな。
I don't know if he's saying that to me or to himself.
大丈夫。神様は見ておられる。そして自分が評価されることを疑ってはならんのだ。いつか必ずきっと評価されるから、その日まで努力を怠ってはならんのだ。
Grandfather says that all the time, but I know the truth. God only plays with people's fate. He doesn't save anyone out of goodwill. That's why he let this happen to my grandfather, even though he's worked so hard and so humbly until today. That's why he let such a horrible thing happen to me when I was still an innocent little girl. Grandfather keeps repeating himself, but I know the truth. God exists. The existence of grandfather believes in it. But there's no mercy to be found in God. He delivers unreasonable fates and makes us call it a challenge. I can't tell my grandfather that, of course. I ask God once more, like I did on that day of the thunderstorm. Why can't you give my grandfather effort and hard work the recognition he deserves? Grandfather told me that he would gather up the papers, so I should put away the teacups. Nodded slightly, and put the teacups that hadn't been even touched on the serving cart. I pushed out of the study. Grandfather told me. He told me to close the door after I leave. I always close the door when I leave. He doesn't need to remind me. That's what he wants. Without saying anything, I closed the door. As I walked away from the study, I heard my grandfather sobbing. Tears filled into my eyes once more. Sadness, disappointment. I almost feel angry with myself for not being able to do anything for him. I felt a cool breeze on my wet cheek. The breeze was blowing in from a cracked open window. The curtain was flapping gently in that breeze. I heard the cry of the Higurashi. As I listened to them, I calmed down gradually. I can ease grandfather's pain by crying. On the contrary, he started to cry because I did. Being useless. Remember that day. I remember the reason why I'm alive now. If he hadn't come and saved me, I would have spent the last days of my life lying in the corner of the bathroom as a human-shaped piece of meat. Father saved me. He gave me back my rights. Right to walk. Right to stand up. Right to wear clothes. Right to eat. Speak. In other words, the right to live as a human being. Grandfather took action right after he got the phone call from me. Found my house. Found out which orphanage I was sent to. After struggling through the sloppily filled records of the public office. Sloppily filed records that then saved me. Of course, he was working on his research then. Spent his precious research time on saving me. Perfect stranger. I vow that if his heart failed, I'd rip my heart out and give it to him. Of course, his heart is fine. He doesn't need a heart. That's something only I could give him. The whole world. Clenched my fists. Held them so tightly. My nails left marks. I now know what I'm supposed to do with this new life as Mio Takano. I finally know. I know the reason why the new me was born. I know the purpose of Mio Takano.
それは小さな胸に宿る人の命がもしも地球より重いなら私の小さな決意は地球よりも重い。
I thought I knew of my grandfather's greatness, but I actually didn't know the half of it. For me to be able to really help him, I have to reach his level. All my lessons lead back to my grandfather. There wasn't a single subject I could ignore. Right now, studying hard is what I can do for him.
教師生活をして長いが、君ほどたゆみなく勉学に勤しんできた生徒は見たことがない。かといって決して勉強のみに視野が狭くなることなく、社交性も身につけ、多くの友人を作った。
勤勉なのは勉強することでしか至れない。社交性をおろそかにしないのは孤独な天才があまりに無力であることを知っているからです。
That's not enough.
私はまだまだ自分の望む姿に至れていないんです。大学に入るのなんて私にとっては単なる経過に過ぎない。そこで何が学べるかなんです。
I'm not even close. I'm not even close to being able to help my grandfather.
先生は君を教え子に持てたことを誇りに思う。私立大でも国立大の医学部でも好きに選びなさい。今の君にとって倍率など何の意味もない。君にとって学ぶに値する学校であるかどうかだけが大事だ。
願いを成就し望む未来を紡ぐ力。紡がれる糸の強さは意志の強さ。気高く強き願いは必ず現実となる。
Do I have what I need to be able to truly understand Hinamizawa syndrome and help grandfather in his research? I don't need compromises or excuses. The heights I seek are lofty and precipitous. This isn't enough. Not even close. My classmates are such idiots acting as if they're winners in life just because they entered this school. A college is simply a place to learn what I need to know. If this self-proclaimed best school isn't worth my time, I'm not interested.
まさか才女のあなたが伝染病圏に来られるとは思いませんでした。あなたほどの方なら引っ張りだこだったでしょうに。てっきりもっと見栄えのいい研究に関心を寄せられると思っていました。
私が学びたいこと、研究したいことが伝染病だからです。私は今日ここで学べる資格を得るために勉学に勤しんできました。
そんなことはありませんよ。入学試験を第1位で突破したあなたを拒むはずもありません。ようこそ伝染病圏へ。嫌われがちな学問でね、研究者はまだまだ少ない。だから他の学問に比べて未知の分野が多いのです。
That's quite true. The study of parasites is a mysterious world. Or rather, it's an ignorant one. An ignorant world where the preconception that parasites can't possibly control human pervades. And those ignorant people laughed at grandfather and stepped all over his article.
伝染病の世界にはまだまだ解き明かされていない未知があります。私はそれを解くために、それを解こうとする人の力になるためにここまでやってきたのです。実現の約束された願いはもはや願いとは呼ばない。それはつまりもはや運命。私が紡ぐのは運命。運命は個人だけじゃなく人を、世界を支配する絶対の力。
Learning isn't enough for me. I have to be able to research my grandfather. And so I don't ignore the means to gain the help my grandfather couldn't get. Grandfather's research isn't complete when it's finished being written on the desk. I need the help of plenty of people to present it to the world, so his great work will be praised by many.
そうです。当会は大学院の首席卒業生のみに入会資格を与えている同窓会組織です。毎年7人の入会者のみしか認めておりませんので、一般的な同窓会組織と比べると小規模ですが、 その結束は比べようがありません。
そのような会へお誘いいただき、とても光栄です。私ごときでよろしければ、ぜひ末席を賜れればと思います。
いえいえ、あなたほどの実績と経歴をお持ちの方を末席など、先輩方もあなたを歓迎されるでしょう。会の名簿には現役大臣、高級官僚、大企業の社長や顧問などが名を連ねています。彼らはあなたを必要とし、あなたが必要とする協力を与えるでしょう。
小泉先生もこの会におられたのですね。私の祖父の親友だった方です。まさかここでまたご縁があるとは。
そうでしたか。きっと小泉先生もあなたの入会を歓迎されることでしょう。
An isolated genius is a useless one. People live in a society. Society is made of connections between people. Nobody can ignore that. I do my best as an individual, but to gain the power that can't be achieved as a mere individual, I have to rely on my connections in society. It is all for one purpose. My only wish as Mio Takano. Yes, I can't spare any effort.
私の絶対の意志が絶対の未来を紡ぎ出す。誰にも邪魔できない。誰にも覆せない。サイコロの1なんて認めない。けなげな努力が偶然の事故だけで打ち消されるなんて認めない。すべてのサイコロを6にしてやる。サイコロを神になんか委ねない。不運になんか委ねない。神に祈るのは
Are you playing Osu in the background? No, I'm just looking at the trail the mouse leaves.
私は神などに委ねない。
I don't know why, I'm getting mesmerized by it.
私の強固な意志が神にさえ介在できない絶対の未来を作り出す。それは祖父が教えてくれた神になる方法とは違う。それは生きながらにして神に至る方法。それに気づいた時、私はようやく解放される。それは両親を失った時の悲しい記憶、そして論文を踏みにじられた時に見せたそう私は神の域を超えるのだ。神の気まぐれなどに負けない存在に。祖父の研究を認めさせてやる。それは私が望む未来、約束された未来。人々は祖父の論文を奪い合って読み合う。かつてないがしろにされ踏みにじられたその論文をうやうやしく手に取って読むのだ。たとえその日を待たずに祖父に死が訪れたとしても、その程度の運命に私が泣くことなどないのだ。だって祖父はすでに私に教えてくれている。たとえ死んで土中に埋められた身であっても、私が祖父の偉業を完成させ、世界中が祖父を称える。その時祖父は復活を遂げ、神となり永遠となる。それは永遠の絆。どんな交通事故でもちぎれない。神がいくらサイコロの1を並べようとも。
This was only a couple segments, but they really built up Mio's, Takano's character really well. I'm not. She's definitely gone to like one of my favorite characters.
両親を事故で失った
This
日
is
から
crazy.
私の人生はすべてサイコロの1だった。でも私はそれに負けずここまでやってきた。サイコロの目など私は超越する。サイコロの目は私が決める。運命すらも私が決める。
Yeah, no, I
くじけ
agree.
ぬ絶対の意志で。
The characters are good, yeah. But like, they it feels like they really put a lot of effort into her character.
診療所はいつ開くんかいね。
Oh, is this when the Idia Clinic finally opens?
クーラーがついてるとええの。
She
来
is a
月
good.
にゃ診療開始っちゅう書いてあった。つったら若い先生だとええの。
Why do you have to make her laugh like that? I heard some old ladies talking amongst themselves when I was going up to the stairs to the shrine. Idia Clinic is already completed, and it's waiting and ready for an open day. The state-of-the-art equipment has been delivered, and the research is waiting to begin as well. EDA 2 is standing by in top form, and he's almost as passionate as I am about Hinamizawa syndrome. The Mountain Dogs, the counterintelligence unit to support and protect our research, are already stationed at Dummy Company somewhere in Okinomiya. They're getting in touch with the various public institutions. Everything is going well. The only thing to worry about would be the rumors about the Hinamizawa Dam construction plans. There's a rumor that the Ministry of Construction is pushing through a dam project that would submerge all of Hinamizawa. Oh, so that's why she... Okay. That's why she also was assisting the... I mean, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I definitely could have put that together if I thought about it a bit, but it makes sense that now, yeah, she doesn't want the dam project to take place. None of my contacts have much influence in the Ministry of Construction, so things aren't going well. Even if applying pressure doesn't work, there are other measures, so either way, it'll come to a deadlock. I'm not being optimistic. I just know that's how it'll end. I will conduct research here in Hinamizawa. I'm going to accomplish that with my absolute will. That's why even if God rolls a 1 on the dice and said he's going to submerge Hinamizawa, I will not be afraid. I won't entrust my die to God. I'm the one who's going to pick up the die, and I'm going to roll a 6. I didn't come to this shrine to declare war on the god of this place. I came because I know that he can get a great view from up here. I walked by the shrine and headed to the spot I found last time I visited. Perfect spot for overlooking the entire village. Strong wind reminds me that I'm only at the starting line. That there will be a headwind before I reach my goal. Looked over the village without faltering. Grandfather approached syndrome from a medical point of view, but he also approached it from a folkloric one as well. The strange belief system in this village is proof that the existence of Hinamizawa syndrome was already known of event in ancient times. It will be extremely useful to research the history. My grandfather hadn't been doing research for hundreds of years, of course. This place had been here for hundreds of years, and they've been living with Hinamizawa that long. Therefore, the beliefs created in this place and the legend itself can be considered the foremost researchers. It's simply stupid to just call them old folk tales or nonsense. I've been researching them slowly, but they are indeed very interesting. No wonder grandfather was intrigued by them. Hinamizawa syndrome has many fascinating sides to it. It's just like a kaleidoscope showing infinite light with ever a slight change in angle. So much fun to trace grandfather's research. Finding the same results as my grandfather reminds me that I'm indeed following in his footsteps. Makes me very happy. The shrine is dedicated to Oyashiro-sama, the guardian deity of the village. But this god the villagers worship is simply a delusion that was created by the parasites. When I solve their secrets and announce it to the world, the god of this place will be no more. That was the moment I'll take revenge on the one who put me through this misery. I said my fate. That's it, isn't it? This isn't just about making my grandfather's dream come true. It's also about getting revenge for my miserable life. I went back to the front of the shrine. There's an offertory box there and tempted to throw in some coins. We normally offer coins to ask for mercy. I don't entrust my fate to God, so I don't need to give him an offering. I'm gonna unmask him. Until then, Oyashiro-sama is a god. Okay. In that case, I'll show respect for now. As a declaration of war, I pulled out a 10 yen coin from my wallet. The 10 yen coin I found at the telephone booth changed my life. If it hadn't been there, my life would have ended then.
あの1枚の10円玉に関してだけはあなたに感謝するわ。
I'm not grateful to the god of the shrine, though.
でもね、あの程度で私はあなたを許したつもりなんてない。そして私はあなたのご利益なんか期待せず、自分の努力だけでここまでやってきた。今後あなたがどんな理不尽な運命を与えようとも、そんなものにはびくともしない。私は私の理想を勝ち取ってみせる。
My grandfather will be praised, and I'll become a god because of the research I'll do in this place. I will defeat the god of this village and become an existence above even gods.
いつから私は神という言葉にこだわるようになったのかしらね。祖父がいつも神様を引用した話ばかりするからかしら。
Here, this is the 10 yen coin you gave me before. My debt's paid off now. You just keep clinging to your throne and tormenting people with your trials, while I fight my battles to knock you down from there. And so I chucked the 10 yen coin I once borrowed from God into the offertory box. For a moment, I couldn't understand what happened. The 10 yen coin was supposed to fall into the offering box, but I explained this. That's not what happened. I aimed correctly for certain, We could miss an offertory box anyway. That's not it. Because the 10 yen coin stopped midair, as if it got stuck in a spider web. Then it bounced back to me, fell by my feet. It was as though the offertory box had refused the coin. Of course, an offertory box is to respect God. What I did was challenge him. That means this is... Jumped. Because I thought I was the only one here. Anyone would jump when finding there's someone else standing there unexpectedly. Oh. But she can see Hanya. How long has she been there? Like she came out from the shrine. Mysterious girl is standing on the other side of the offertory box. Wearing a shrine maiden uniform. She must be one of the caretakers. Yeah. That's what I thought too. But there's something else about her. She's not just one of the shrine caretakers. She's the shrine itself. Because the girl is staring into my eyes. No, she's glaring. I smiled back fearlessly. I think she heard my words of challenge to God. She's wearing that expression on her face because of that. The words came out naturally. The girl didn't nod, but I took that as a yes. What a contradictory feeling. I'm rejecting the god of this land, denying its very existence, yet I don't doubt that this girl is that god. The girl opened her mouth to speak. That's what I said to myself often. I never said that to anyone or quoted it from anything. Under normal circumstances, I should be surprised to hear this girl say that. But this girl isn't human, so I'm not surprised. I replied to her.
よくわかりますのです。揺るがない信じる力はどんな運命もサイコロの目も打ち破りますのです。
そうよ。それはつまりサイコロにてもてあそぶ神々への人間の復讐。神々の干渉を排して自ら運命を切り開く人間の惨禍。どんな不運にも耐えて今日も努力で獲得した私の神々しさを知りなさい。
Spiteful laughter flowed out of my mouth, but the girl's face displayed a strong will of her own. Her expression didn't even change a bit.
僕はようやくわかりましたのです。何度繰り返しても決して覆せぬこの運命はあなたの強固な意志の力ゆえ。
そうよ。強い意志は運命を強固にする。鋼のように鍛えられた運命はいかなるサイコロの目にも動じない。それはすなわち絶対の未来。
それを幾百年を生きる僕たちでなく人の身であるあなたが知るとは認めますです。あなたは限りなく神に近い場所にいる。
それは光栄。
The girl glared at me with her eyes half shut. No, it was more like she was proclaiming something to me while displaying her own strong willpower.
僕はあなたに負けない。かつて僕たちはどう戦ってもあなたに勝てないと思った。だから僕はあなたに屈した。
Oh damn, okay. Wait, Hani was no longer apathetic.
地に落ち、輪廻の中を這いずりながらみすぼらしく生きた。でもあの子は気づきましたのです。信じる力が運命を切り開く奇跡を起こすと。
私の強い意志が作り出す運命にあなたの強い意志がそれを打ち破る奇跡を起こすというわけ。道理ね。
Because that's the law of this world. A strong will can make a desired future possible.
僕たちはあなたの意志の強さに負けないのです。
古き神の座に執着するのも大いに結構。あなたの意志が私の意志に勝てるか。 神は人を試すが、人が神を試してはならない不条理。だからあえてあなたを試してあげるわ。お前の意志の強さが私の意志の強さに勝てるかどうかを試してごらんなさい。
That's clearly a declaration of war from me to God. This is the beginning of my revenge towards God, who put me through so much misery. And this girl, this God, is accepting my challenge directly.
僕はあなたに比べてあまりに非力だけれども、あなたに比べてあまりにできることが少ないけれど、たとえ僕の意志の強さがあなたに及んだとしても、それぐらいでは覆せないくらいに。
そうね。私は圧倒的な力を得たわ。その力を得るために今日までどれほどの強い意志を持ち、貴様ごとき小娘では私に指一本触れることもかなわないでしょうね。
分かってる。あなたの強大さは分かってる。それに比べて私や私の仲間たちの力はあまりにか細いかもしれない。でも私は諦めないことを選ぶことができる。三途の河原で永遠に石を積み続けるように、あなた気が遠くなるほどの長い時間、あなたに屈しないことで意志の強さを示してみせよう。そして河原に石が積み上がった時、私たちはその川
So
を
this is
越え
the
ることが
first
でき、
time Hanyu has appeared
あ
in
な
front
た
of
の前に
Takano.
対等な
Actually
存在
never
と
done
して
that
現
before.
れるでしょう。その時こそこの長きにわたる
Also
運
at
命
the
の
same
戦い
time,
に決着
she
がつ
said
く。
before that she couldn't be seen by anyone no matter what. So how's she able to make herself appear in front of Takano?
ならば結構。どちらの思いが強いか。強かった方が未来を作る。強かった方の望んだ未来が訪れる。私は私の未来を一歩も譲らない。その未来では祖父の偉業は称えられ神となり、かつて私を不幸にて試すような真似をした神に対して復讐をする。
Stupid little god. I'll show you.
貴様を神の座から引きずり下ろしてやる。かかってこい、この
Damn. What an ending. What an ending. The declaration of war. Chapter 8. Matsuribayashi. Higurashi when they cry. Kai. And that, I guess, sets the stage for what's going to be coming. When did this game come out? In like 2002, I think the first chapter came out. Let's see. The Cry game release date. 2004 is when it first came out. I think. No, Himatsubushi. Fourth and last quarter. No. 2002. Yeah, it was 2002. Okay. But it's been remade like so like the version I didn't show. So the version that I'm on right, it's like the console one, right? But there's like the original art, and then there's like the technically updated art, but it doesn't look very good. What you have cat ears? Yeah, you can do the redeem. You give me cat ears, and then I read a cat joke. But yeah, that's how that works. But yeah, that is Higurashi. I know that ending might have been pretty confusing for you, Dark Watch. Yeah. It's a lot. to explain. Higurashi, I don't even know where I start with. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to be heading out now. Thank you for everyone who stopped by the stream. I appreciate it. Makes sense mostly. Well, that's good. That's good. As long as you understand it, that's okay. Thank you for everyone who stopped by the stream. I appreciate it. I'll be back with. Well, actually, no. Tomorrow will be something else, right? Because I did 2 Higurashi streams, 2 Octopath streams. So I don't know. Tomorrow I'll see what I go live with. I'll either